I personally believe extroversion, introversion झूठ है. It is just a label. Extrovert कह लो, जो भी कह लो, it's still uncomfortable to talk to a stranger. But you still do it, like you do the difficult things in your life. Don't do it thinking कि वो कर रहा है क्योंकि उसके लिए आसान है. Because of legal reasons, the podcast was in limbo. From whatever I knew कि मेरा podcast मेरे पास नहीं है, तो मैं क्या करूँ? Not for a second was there. हाय भगवान मैं क्या करूँगा? It was build the next thing now.
Let's build the next thing.
You're a builder. I hate following people. अब इस फील्ड में हो तो आपको रिलेशनशिप के चक्कर में लोगों को करना पड़ता है. The only way to circumvent that is muting them. But I think people should mute them. People should block and mute unabashedly. Negativity hatao. We know sugar is bad for us, but it's fucking delicious. Right? That's what prestige and validation and fame is. Like you know too much of it is, you know that, you objectively know that. But you also know मजे आते हैं जब मिलता है.
Bro.
When there's an accident on the road, you will slow your car down, you will look at the accident and drive by. And of course you're not a bad person, but everybody does it. So I'm like, okay, just don't look at it.
And you still sleep well.
I cover crime for a living, I sleep well.
Yo, welcome to another episode of Vaibhav Munjal Podcast. आज का मेरा episode है with Aryaan, who is the co-founder of Desi Crime Podcast. This is one of the most respected and watched and listened to podcasts of our country. Aryaan और मैं I think अभी बहुत recently friends बने. Last year we were at a podcast roundtable together and it's just that there is too much overlap in our thoughts, in our views and about how we want to live our lives. Like इस episode में हम कभी बात कर रहे थे और वो moments आ गए कि एक दिन बैठना है सानी साहब आपके साथ. So it's a very heartfelt conversation and I hope you guys like it as much as I did while recording it. So let's jump right inside the conversation I had with Aryaan. Hi Aryaan, how are you?
कैसा है वैभव?
Welcome to Vaibhav Munjal Podcast.
Nice to be here.
आपका एक ऑडिशन लिया था हमने कुछ दिन पहले चंचलचित्रा टॉक्स पे एक लाइव स्ट्रीम में. Since you passed the audition, I'm like a full-fledged
What a great honor.
We'll do a full-fledged podcast because in past people have compared me to Brian Chesky.
Yeah. Lex Friedman.
Inside jokes, guys. Inside jokes. But like, dude, it was so much fun talking to you. यार मैं तो ऐसा हो गया भाई ये बंदा कहाँ था. And like it very rarely happens, like because it was insane the amount of overlaps we had in regard to health, in regard to pop culture. Do you find that happening often with people you meet?
I think the people you attract end up being like that because why you read a certain book and why I read the same book. There must be a common denominator in our personalities. And I think I've seen that has drawn me to certain people pehle, and later I've found कि oh my god, they read the same thing. So it's not been the other way around. जैसे इस बार हमारा जो connection था was we knew each other as acquaintances and friends. And then we realized, there is this overlap also.
Yes.
So ऐसा हुआ है काफी बार.
Yeah.
But quite a few things came up, quite a few recommendations came up that there was an overlap.
So I'll just give a brief history of our encounters.
Not of the sexual nature. Yeah.
हाँ, तो पहली बार हम मिले थे IFP में जहाँ पे we were a part of the podcast.
1 year ago.
Exactly 1 year ago. उसके बाद ज़्यादा बात नहीं हुई. Then Aryaan invited me to a very cool cricket party.
No, उसके बीच में I will add that I was launching my YouTube. My podcast was audio only, and I took Vaibhav's guidance at a lot of steps, and he was a very, very helpful person in that journey.
I did?
मतलब इतना भी हेल्पफुल नहीं, अगर ब्रायन चेस्की खुद को मानता है, but whenever I had a query, whether to do with merch or to do with copyright, I just felt that he is a good person to ask, and you were always there to help out. And
and then Aryaan का जब मैं audition pass किया, he invited me to a cricket party.
तूने जब मेरा audition pass किया, correct.
Then he invited me to a party. It was a very cool party.
World Cup final, bro. Insane.
Dude, it was so much fun. You have that friend, na Sufi, what's his name?
Motiwala. Yeah,
dude, I'm like such a fun person. Every person in the room, I didn't know anyone. And just like a great vibe. Then I invited you to a party that I was throwing.
Great party. Great party.
And uske baad we did a live stream and now we are here. Mm-hmm. And Aryaan runs the podcast, Desi Crime Podcast. And it has really, really grown and evolved over the last few years. And I think video pe jab se aayo, I think it has really shot up, right?
Yeah.
It has like changed the game, if I may say.
हाँ तो यार, like we started on audio. 3 साल we stayed on audio. And on those platforms, so you could say the Spotify's and Amazon Musics of the world, against which you have a grudge that we are all aware of.
Not Amazon. We love Amazon. We love Audible. Spotify, please pay me money. I'll love you too.
Spotify does now pay a little bit, but regardless, हम audio पे then we hit a saturation point, bro, where we were only growing if the platform was growing, which is not a very good place to be, because then you're laying all your eggs in one basket. And हम जितने proportionately बड़े थे Spotify पे, so we were as big as, and we were top 5 in India. We weren't proportionately known for that because Spotify is not nearly as big as a YouTube, right? Obviously. So when we came on YouTube beginning of this year, and some of our bets about our space and the quality of content we deliver came true, the growth was pretty insane. Also, having our faces now being seen rather than just our voice played a huge role in I think brands and people being more receptive towards us. So Shakkar mein, it's been a great year because of YouTube, I would say.
Yeah, one of the things which caught my attention, I think it was you who said it in the roundtable. We were talking about average view duration, and we all on YouTube go by what like MrBeast says कि try for a 70% AVD. हमारा videos पे 10-minute video पे 40-45% आता है. On like a larger video, longest interview पे I think 30% होगा. And Aryaan, I think remember taking the, you know how much AVD I get? It's 97%. This is true,
audio. Yeah. Now I know video नहीं होता है. It's still an audio thing.
He has 95% plus AVD.
Yeah.
Crazy, dude.
But it's the genre. It's not me as a creator. It's true crime as a genre. I mean, if you click, firstly, when you listen audio now, what podcast do you listen audio? Like on a Amazon, Audible, or Spotify?
None.
No audiobooks.
Audiobooks, yes.
Audiobooks, yes.
Quite a lot of audiobooks.
Okay. So, and not audio podcasts. Interesting. So
I use YouTube Premium, so I just like play it on YouTube.
Fair. So which ones are the ones where video is not a big function for you? You don't necessarily. All podcasts you switch off the phone and
मतलब like if like I'm like driving the car particularly, let's say if I'm listening to Alex Friedman or a Chris Williamson, these are the two which I listen to the most. Video is not a very important factor in this.
Let's take Modern Wisdom for example. Chris Williamson wala you're talking about, and you play an episode of Chris Williamson, you put the phone down. Your tendency to listen to the whole episode or a large part of the episode would be much higher than if it's a video being recommended to you on YouTube.
Right.
So on audio platforms like Audible for audiobooks and Spotify and Amazon Music for podcasts, it's very rare that your feed forces you to watch something. It's usually you going to the platform to actually watch it.
It's intentional.
And when it's intentional, obviously the AVD is going to be higher. Right? Because तुम जानबूझ के जा रहे हो वहाँ. आपको नहीं दिया जा रहा है, ट्रायल एंड एरर नहीं हो रहा है. You've made up your mind to consume that piece of content. That's one reason why audio or AVD is insane, or ALD, average listen duration, so to say.
Oh yes.
And also because we're true crime. You start a true crime story, you want to know how it resolved.
But I also think it has to do with good storytelling. I think you guys are also good storytellers. Do you consider yourself good storyteller?
I mean, I hope people consider us good storytellers. I would like to be a good storyteller. I think that's
ये क्या answer है corporate वाले? मेरे को बताओ, like, do you consider yourself as a good storyteller?
Yes.
Do you think you have a talent for storytelling?
Yes. I think the talent came more from narration. I've always been an orator. I've been a debating kid, a theatre kid. MUN kid also. But mostly national debating, because मैं college बाहर किया है, but I studied high school पूरा India में. So your Mayo debates, those national level ones. So I used to love that. I think a bit of the oratory comes from there, narration comes from there. I think storytelling is a work in progress. Like as much as I pride myself on my narration, storytelling I see a lot of room for improvement.
Got it. And this is like straight from Tim Ferriss Universe. Tell me about your favorite failure.
My favorite failure? Oof, that's right off the deep end. My favorite failure. Okay. I've not thought of it like that. I'm sure there are other favorite failures, but this came to my mind right now. In 12th, so I was a PCMB student. I made the
most confused ones.
Well, the idiotic one. PCMB students are those kids who did very well in 10th grade and they thought life is going to be like this. Or 10th boards is what life looks like. So their cocky ass takes PCMB in 11th and performs miserably. That was me, okay?
So this is our first 1 million viral.
Yeah. And I took it, and by 12th, and towards the end of 12th, I'm like, yeah, this is not for me. I'm flunking left, right, and center. I'm barely passing. And I had just I was studying for IISc, which is also coaching route. IISc is like Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. KVPY करके एक examination होती है, उसके लिए मैं पढ़ रहा था. आकाश जाके proper coaching kid. And yeah, in the coaching, I just realized after a couple of years of doing it, that's not me. That's not my temperament. I can talk about how there was a pivotal moment which led to that, like one moment in a class. But anyway, I towards the very end decided I want to go abroad and study. Now, my family doesn't come from financial means, so like this was I had to figure out a scholarship. That's the only way this was ever happening. And I brought this idea up to my parents, and I said, "Ki guys, bahar jana hai. Can you fund it?" They said, "Let's figure it out once you get admission," because Indian parents are so uncomfortable talking about finances. They could have very clearly painted the actual picture for me early on, and I would not have attempted because I would have known they cannot pay for it, but they refused to let me in on the finances of the family. तो मैंने यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ एडिनबरा, UCL, हार्वर्ड, फलाना ढिमकाना हर जगह अप्लाई किया और अच्छी यूनिवर्सिटी से आ गया एक्सेप्टेंस, बट नॉट स्कॉलरशिप, एक्सेप्टेंस आया. एंड आई शोड December of that year. तो मतलब 12th is ending, ठीक है, बोर्ड्स के पहले मैंने कहा हो गया, प्लीज़ can you fund it? They looked at the amount, 30 lakh per year or something like that, and of course they shat their pants. Like there is no way they can fund that. It was those 2-3 months of uncertainty were, I think, there was failure. I didn't know what I was going to do because I knew I was going to flunk my 12th boards. I knew DU nahi hoga. I knew I left the KVPY coaching. I was so anxious for my future. And then 2 months later, right before the boards, I get an email from one of the colleges, jiski scholarship ke liye applied, and I got a full ride.
Wow.
Yeah. So I consider that, like, I didn't get into the Harvard of the world, which was my dream, but it's a favorite failure because I still got to go outside and pursue my academics, sort of not on, like, could self-fund it. And favorite failure. Those 3 months are very, like, I've never been more anxious in my life.
So when did you move to US?
2019, August.
And you came back?
Properly came back, 23 last year, around, like almost a year back. Yeah.
And was it worth it? The US experience?
Oh man, absolutely, dude. Yeah, this is a podcast of recommending things. I recommend going to the States or just going outside. I think jitna US ne role play kiya, utna wo it was more just radical independence that you had to learn from ground up. It could be America, it could be almost any Western country. It could also be a Bombay to a degree for a kid from other parts of India. But again, there are too many. यहाँ इतने support structures होते हैं. यहाँ अपना हर जगह किसी को आप जानते हो, कोई जुगाड़ होता है. Like, so then you can tap into the social network your family has built. And when you're able to tap into the social network your family has built, then you don't learn how to build a social network. And so I think living in the States and knowing nobody, I was like, oh shoot, I need to make friends, jugaad, etc myself. All of these things जो मैं मामा को call करूँगा for this या उनको call करूँगा for this, I had to become that person for myself.
Wow.
So that, I think that more than anything is why I love the American experience. It's radical independence. It's hyper individualistic, which has its societal downfalls when everybody is very individualistic. But for the individual, it teaches him or her a lot.
And like how easy was it to adjust back into the Indian ecosystem? वो ऐसे poor people, hungry people नहीं लगा ज़्यादा कि यार अब
मैं पहली 2 trips पे back when I met family, हाँ मतलब you felt like, and it's so cliche to say,
क्या एक term होता है ना इसका, the shock, cultural shock.
हाँ, but the funny thing is cultural shock तो अमेरिका जाके होना चाहिए था, but हम लोग बड़े हुए हैं अमेरिकन पॉप कल्चर पे, तो वहाँ जाके कोई कल्चर शॉक नहीं. वहाँ हम लाइक ये जो देखा है अब वो जी रहा हूँ, वो था culture shock. अपने देश आके वापस हुआ. I was like, and it felt very weird and it's very cliched, and people who haven't experienced it like frown upon it as going, you bougie fuck. But it's not that. It's just you start seeing these things that you took for granted growing up very differently, and also a lot of false virtue kicks in. कि हर चीज़ में virtue दिखने लगती है, क्योंकि see, rich people and rich societies can afford virtue. They can afford, taking the time to, feel bad about small things. Poor societies with material issues cannot afford those things. Like, it's a defense coping mechanism. जब भिखारी को देखते हो, और imagine seeing every beggar and feeling broken. That's not, you can't do that. You will not survive in India if you do that.
Right.
But to a white person, it's insensitive if you don't do that. I get their side.
Right.
Of course, like it is insensitive if you see evil or you see horror and you don't respond to it. Are you inhumane? मेरे साथ हुआ अभी, हम लोग यार बहुत fascinating. मैं बाली में, मेरे ऑस्ट्रिया के 2 दोस्त, they moved there and I spent 2 months ago, I spent with them. उनके पास एक्स्ट्रा कमरा था, मैंने कहा फ्री का विला, lovely. And this dude has worked in the Red Cross. He's a very dear friend of mine. And we had rented scooties and we had driven. Bali traffic right now is crazy if you've been. Like, tourism is at an all-time high. So Bali is full of scooties here and there. We're on the scooty and right in front of us was an accident. Very commonplace 2-wheeler accident in Bali. And the person who's injured is on the road. The authorities are coming to help. Right? So everybody is on their way. So it's not like मैं कुछ कर सकता था, मेरा दोस्त कुछ कर सकता था, ट्रैफिक रुका हुआ था, सब लोग देख रहे थे. Now the locals were driving by the body. ठीक है? It's not dead body, injured person, because they had somewhere to be. उनका डेली का है ये. But my Red Cross friend was feeling so bad and like he hated the fact that people were driving by. He said ये कितने unethical लोग हैं, ये हैं. And मुझे उसको समझाना पड़ा, like bro, you come from Austria, जहाँ किसी को चू भी लग जाए तो एम्बुलेंस 5 सेकंड में आ जाएगी. You can afford that amount of empathy. These people have somewhere to be. They need to feed their families. They can't afford that empathy. We had a long discussion. He came to see my side to some degree. तो हाँ, वैसा I think culture shock India आके हुआ था.
There's a very good short story of Ray Bradbury in the October Country. It's called The Crowd. So मैंने नहीं ये it's basically about कि every time there's an accident happening on road, there are same 15 set of people who come और वाके ना ऐसे खड़े हो जाते हैं, अरे क्या हुआ इसको, क्या हुआ, and they don't do anything. They don't do anything. फिर कोई और accident हुआ, वहाँ जाते हैं, हवा बना देते हैं, but no one is helping the person. That person is suffering, वो देख रहे हैं. And then I applied it to a lot of situations in life, like how cancellation culture works, and a lot of बहुत जगह apply होता है. Same 15 people who like, अरे क्या हो गया, no one is actually doing anything.
Yeah.
It's a crazy short story.
There is, I'm forgetting whether it's a Buddhist story or a Zen story. It's about, the moral of the story is the tendency, that innate tendency we have, the root of Schadenfreude almost, where we look at like something bad happening for some little pleasure that we get out of it. And so it's a very Indian thing to do. When there's an accident on the road, you will slow your car down, you will look at the accident and drive by. And that's instinctive, right? And everybody does it. And it's a very confusing thing if you think about.
Yeah.
So one thing I did after I sort of dealt with that urge, I've made a rule for myself: if there's an accident ever, I will not look at it. And every time that happens, I feel I want to look at it. It's such a, where does that desire to look at somebody's hurt come from? And of course, you're not a bad person, but everybody does it. So I'm like, okay, just as an exercise of refraining from pleasure or whatever it is, just don't look at it.
Yeah, this happens quite a lot, yeah. I'm just thinking about it. But you don't stop. This is like we are on this like territory कि कितना offense ले सकता है कोई ये सुन के कि you said a line about empathy also. They don't have time for empathy.
They can't afford empathy.
They can't afford it. Oh, crazy. And now you don't look at it and you still sleep well. Like कोई मतलब.
I cover crime for a living. I sleep well. Do you know Rob Henderson?
No.
You'd love him. You'd love his writings. He's a great Substack. Rob Henderson, army vet, Cambridge grad, big in the sort of libertarian circle in the West, except he is not, there's no label you could ascribe to him. His writings I really like. One of the beliefs that, ideas that he has gotten known for or garnered infamy for is luxury beliefs. It is beliefs that the rich hold because they can afford it, and it brings them virtue points, but that are actually detrimental to the people to which they claim ye acha hoga. Ek small example hai, abolish the police in the West. Now, every rich person living in Beverly Hills will go a cab, all cops are bastards, abolish the police. They live in the safest neighborhoods with the highest amount of police and funding going to them. So it's a luxury belief, because abolishing the police would actually be detrimental towards not them, like defunding the police unko liye detrimental nahi hoga, it'll be for the poor people who live in sort of urban LA or downtown LA, where you need police or you need security forces to monitor and help the people. It's a luxury belief. It's a belief the luxurious can hold, and makes them, more virtuous or increases their status in their groups. So I think that affordability of empathy is, I think, tied to the luxury beliefs.
Another luxury belief is Twada Kutta Tommy, Sada Kutta. वही है ना ये कितनी. This is why I'm just thinking about these things. What are other examples of luxury beliefs you can think of? Ki what you can afford to do? Like let's talk about first world problems. What's one first world problem that you're having right now?
What's one first world problem?
We gave you the right angle to sit on, like during the podcast. Apart from that, what other first world problems do you have?
Oh my God. Yeah, I think that's a good first world problem. I think, yes. I have what I would tell my mom years ago, that it is Kida ne kaat liya. I have a hickey, and I chose this side even though Vaibhav wanted, so that it hides for the majority of the podcast. But since he has addressed it, I might as well say it. I do, and I wish guys could have concealers on them all the time, just like women do, so I could hide this easily. Okay? That's my first world problem of the day. Make that a reel and post it.
Yeah. My first world problem is my insensitivity towards white lights. Like, I just can't stand those.
No
and I'm like,
way.
I just choose places which do not have white lights.
My bedroom in my home in Delhi has 3 tube lights and over the study. I love like a well lit, like this to me is orgasmic, the white. I'm like, oh, I'm almost turned on. Like, it's not you, Vaibhav.
मेरा वो कहाँ गया? So मैंने तो अभी actually ये इन्होंने मेरी life sort कर दी है काफी. No, this is the final like weapon which has come in for me कि कितना ही मैं ऐसे, because मरीन ड्राइव पे भी ना पहले सारी लाइट्स येलो होती थी, फिर वाइट हो गई, पूरा जो वाइट हो रहा है हमारा देश. It's just whiteism.
A metaphor for colonialism. The tube lights.
Yeah. It's just so irritating, and I think it just fucks with me. So that this is one like problem I have.
Another first world problem. People in the back seat don't wear seatbelts.
Oh.
Yeah. I think India doesn't have a culture of that.
बाहर है ये culture?
बाहर बहुत strong है. और मैं भी इतना नहीं मानता था क्योंकि वही इंडिया वाला हैबिट. But the thing is, firstly, you've read Outlive, so Atiya has talked about how non-disease deaths, the highest causal factor of mortality are car accidents, right? And car accidents are insane, especially in America. तो बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं. And how do you protect yourself if that is the thing. Like we look out for all these diseases and you're in hell. If you're a biohacker or somebody who's into fitness, you try protecting yourself from all causes of mortality, right? Like heart attack and diabetes. But what about this non-body related one, which is car accidents, which is a very modern 21st century problem. So of course, seat belt eliminates the risk significantly of dying. But if the person in the back is not wearing their seat belt, the chance that the passenger ahead dies also increases, even if the person sitting aage is wearing a seat belt. That's because the way the collision would happen, that person would go aage and bang into, so unki seat belt defunct ho jayegi. So it's like everybody needs to wear the seat belt for mutual benefit. तो वो थोड़ा सा मुझे इंडिया में annoy करता है कि यहाँ पास वो culture नहीं है of wearing a seat belt.
A big segue here. Like one thing that I really appreciate about you is how you always ask. Like when you are in trouble, when you need help, is that something you inherently had, or is it something you developed over the years? Okay, when you need to know something, ask something, asking for help. Is it like post US, like where you had to go into this hyper individuality wala phase?
That's a very good question.
Or was it before that?
So I am not a big fan of asking for help, in the sense that if I know the person on the other hand, it really depends on the person who I'm asking, and you can take this as a compliment. Although I know you're not Brian Chesky. I don't know तेरे दिमाग पे भूत सवार रहेगा पूरे दिन. Is that when I know the other person will not think of it as I have a favor now.
Good one.
And of course that's me making assumptions. But with you or other people that I ask for guidance or help, I never feel like it is an unconditional help. And that unconditional help is something I would lovingly reciprocate if the option ever arises, but not as duty, not as कि मैं मजबूर हूँ, मैं इसके I'm indebted to him. वो feeling मुझे नहीं अच्छी लगती. तो अगर मैं जानता हूँ किसी का व्यवहार वैसा है, temperament वैसा है, I will not ask for their help.
And I think it's a game changer once you start like doing it, and when you identify the people
God,
like who.
If you have the lack of ego to ask for help,
it just changes.
It changes everything. Changes everything. I mean, just a small example: me asking for, let's say merch, for example. So what you're wearing, recommend me a song, guys. Go buy it. I think it's some of the coolest, smartest merch. He has, but Kadak merch helps Vaibhav with it. And if I want to ask for Vaibhav's help in how he does merch, think of how many extra days what the delta in my input would have been. That delta would have been, I'm guessing, 10-15 days. It was also me coming back to India. I didn't know a lot of people in this space, so it would have been 10-15 days. Now, what is 10-15 days in terms of work? Where instead could I have put that? Because of you, I circumvented those 10-15 days, went directly to
Keth.
I went directly to Keth, and Keth helped me out, sorted it, the whole thing. So the delta again, so at that time then went to something else. Now, if you compound that, asking help and getting these circumvented, that's a lot of days and a lot of hours that you end up saving if you just have the balls to ask for help.
Dude, I'll tell you something here. What was the name of the MrBeast document?
How to succeed at a MrBeast production.
So you need to check this out. It's a Bible. It's one of the most controversial pieces. ये leak हो गया है. So when someone joins MrBeast's company, he gives them this whole thing to read. It's a 40-pager.
So much.
How to succeed at MrBeast production. It's very unabashed. तुम मेरे लिए काम करते हो, नहीं पसंद छोड़ दो, and stuff like that. Like this is what I need. उसमें एक point था. Like when my team, it's like it depends if an employee is reading it or if a founder is reading it. Founder पढ़ेगा बोलेगा bro, this is it. So उसमें एक बहुत प्यारा point है. When you want to do someone, first talk to consultants. Let's say उसकी तो टास्क ही ऐसी होती है कि यार मेरे को एक आइलैंड खरीदना है, तो आपस में मत डिस्कस करो, फाइंड द बेस्ट पर्सन जिसने ये पहले किया हुआ है. सो दिस इज समथिंग वी डू इंटरनली इन द कंपनी कि कोई भी एक टास्क करनी है. लाइक आई वुड जस्ट कॉल अ फ्रेंड, लाइक लेट्स से इट्स अ यूट्यूब रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम. आई स्टार्ट कॉलिंग माई फ्रेंड्स हु हैव 1 million plus subscribers कि hey, I have this problem, how do I solve this? Like I was just getting very curious about security on YouTube, hacking and stuff. तो मेरे को ये जानना था कि यार मेरी टीम में इतने लोग हैं, पासवर्ड कितने लोगों के पास हो सकते हैं, लाइक हाउ सेफ इज दिस? Then one of my mentors, he's younger than me and I call him my mentor, Mandeep. He runs Labor Law Advisor. He has 5 million subscribers.
Of course.
Yeah, he's one of my closest people. I just called him and I just sent him a voice note. There are some people who don't mind my voice notes.
It's like getting mini Vaibhav Munjal podcast sent to you. My other first world problem, I hate audio messages. Send me a text that I can glance over. Oh, fuck, bro, stop it. It's so annoying. It's so annoying, like people who send audio messages.
So I sent him a voice note ki, bro, how does this work? Like in the sense कि कितने लोगों के पास आपकी टीम में passwords हैं? He told me the whole mechanism basically, because so there is a owner, there is a manager, there is an editor, and there is a community editor. Then he told me कि किस hierarchy है. Then he told me like they have like one email ID which they just give to all people. वो हर जने को जाके मैनेजर नहीं, मैंने oh this is so interesting. फिर जब वो छोड़ के जाते तो मैंने कहा भाई ये है ना, it just saved so many steps. You just ask someone who is the best. And this is something my brother told me once. Always take advice from people who are 20x more successful than you. So one thing I like about Chris Williamson is he's also very big on quotes. वो बहुत quotes use करता है, मैं भी करता हूँ. So it's like when
उसका entire newsletter is quotes ही भेजता है. वो उसके भी तुमने Rob Henderson देखा होगा यार. He shares a lot of Rob Henderson. They're tight buddies.
So उसका कुछ था कि when you want an advice, don't take suggestions from people who are closest to you. Take suggestions from people who are closest to your goal.
And great. I mean, so I think I wish I would have captured it as succinctly as you did there, or as succinctly as Chris did. But I feel this for a lot, and now I've started saying this to my family or just friends in general. So I think once you're ascending professionally and personally, a lot of people have a lot of advice to offer.
Yes.
I think the inverse of that, what the framework you just provide, the inverse is how do you not take some people's advice?
Yes.
And I think one thing I've come up with, and it's a little brash, and it comes off as offensive to some people, but to operate individually, I think you need to have some of these selfish frameworks. But it is, don't take advice on fitness from unfit people, don't take advice on happiness from sad people, and don't take advice for success from unsuccessful people. And you will have a lot of those people that are unfit that will be telling you what to eat and what not to eat, that will be picking at your dietary choices because they've seen WhatsApp University with some text about why whey protein is bad, or why XYZ is bad, or why their roti is the best food ever India has invented and we are the pioneers of that. Like, they're so inundated with their own sort of echo chamber information. And I think it comes from a good place in their heart. That's the problem. A lot of these people that give us advice, whether it's health, whether it's
success, emotion attached.
Yes, of course. They're doing it because they care for you fundamentally. So if your reason to not take their advice cannot be derision towards them. It cannot be, I don't like you. No, you love them. So then how do you create that boundary? I just tell this. Like, if it's an unfit relative or a friend, I'm like, dude, I don't want to waste your time. So like my mom and I were having this conversation where she was giving me some gyan about something where they haven't necessarily done too well. I'm like, Mom, I love you. I'll just say, because I care for the things you tell me, I don't want to act for the next 15 minutes like I'm listening to what you have to offer. मैं input ही नहीं लूँगा माँ, क्योंकि आपने कभी ये सही नहीं किया है. A certain domain of operation in her life. And I think she understood when you clear that boundary. So,
and I think, a nuance I want to pick from this, a different tangent. So when you don't agree with someone and when something bugs you, how do you say it to people? ये मैंने कहीं I think Lady Gaga का सुना था. वो एक बार she was doing sound check and the noise was too harsh. So जो भी उसका sound engineer था, the first thing she said was, let's say his name was Jimmy. He's like, Jimmy, I love you, but that's fucking with my ears. So just saying and establishing that you still love them.
Yeah.
That's a game changer.
Game changer.
You're like, Eventually, kya karoge? Hey, I love you. And this is something I started practicing.
I want to ask you, you brought up the MrBeast document. Now, of course, given I know MrBeast a little from his content, I can assume how brash that Bible, company culture Bible must be. But clearly you took some learning from it.
100%.
How do you create... Because, when you run a content company, Chalchitra being an example, Desi Studios being an example, in a content company, it's not a corporate where the hierarchy is very defined.
Yeah.
There is a lot of love between the people that work at that particular unit, right? Now that love and respect and that thing can come in the way of professionalism sometimes. I'm sure MrBeast drew the boundaries by saying, "Tum mere liye kaam kar rahe ho." How do you do that at your company when you try to build culture, but also hierarchy for an efficient unit?
So number one thing, this is, I think, a question. I think this is the conversation best had between two of us.
Yeah.
No one will be able to ever replicate this. So one of the things I learned in 2021, like 3 years back, have friends outside of your professional circle. Even if you love them the most, don't hang out with them always. Just have a completely different set of friends. This has been a game changer for me कि ये नहीं है कि अगर आप जिनके साथ पूरे दिन काम करते हो फिर hang out भी उन्हीं के साथ कर रहे हो. You need to have a different life. And another thing which has helped me is like having friends for different aspects in your life. Like Sonali, we were there. You know how many times I have met Sonali in my life? 5 or 6. And every time what we have done when we have met, we just went and saw a movie. We have never spoken to each other.
Oh wow.
We just decide a movie and go and watch it, and we never speak again. And then we are like, let's go and watch this movie. So basically, I want you to be my friend for that in regard to health. Let's just do stuff. Like you said, let's do gymming together. You need to have friends for certain aspects. कि जो यार वहाँ पे गेम समझ गया, इसके साथ मेरे को ये करना है. पहले मैं ये करता था. पहले जब let's say quote unquote धंधा चलाना नहीं आता था, तो पहले ये था कि यही लोग हैं, इन्हीं के साथ ये भी करेंगे, इन्हीं के साथ मैं सब कुछ समझूंगा. These are my people.
And they are your people.
They are your people.
They are your people,
but you can't do this all the time. You love them, you care about them.
Yeah.
And this is also very healthy in regard to friendship otherwise also. Even if you take the content company thing out of the equation, it's just so healthy to have friends for certain things. ये डियर जिंदगी में आलिया भट्ट ने बोला था, तो पहले मेरे को मेरी एक फ्रेंड ने बताया, मतलब यू कांट पुट द बैगेज ऑफ एवरीथिंग ऑन जस्ट वन पर्सन. इट जस्ट चेंजेस थिंग. यार आपका आइसक्रीम फ्रेंड अलग होना चाहिए, लाइक 3am फ्रेंड अलग होना चाहिए. And I know it's like too much baggage to have too many friends, too much pressure.
You not from a...
And I'm not even saying friends, I would say accountability partners, and I would say ki people with whom you do stuff.
Yeah.
And अगर आप इन्हीं लोगों के साथ सब करने लग गए तो वो बहुत convoluted हो जाएगा, and then emotions get involved.
Yeah.
And there is definitely a hierarchy in what we do. Where we take a call and it gets very tricky for other people. You were talking so nicely to me. What is this switch?
What is this switch? So
yeah.
That's why I asked you, one of the most helpful distinctions that I came across was in Reed Hastings' book about Netflix. Reed Hastings, CEO of Netflix, founder also. And very, again, MrBeast-ish, and I'm again assuming what that might be like, but very radical in how it lays out the groundwork for an employee coming in. So Netflix as a company has a very high churn rate. People come and go like this, and they keep the top of the top. एक टेंडेंसी होती है जब धंधा या तो चलाना नहीं आता या तो आप बड़े सॉफ्टी से होते हो, तो एक टेंडेंसी होती है टू से वी आर ऑल वन फैमिली. बट नो, फैमिलीज में पीपल डोंट फायर ईच अदर.
Exactly.
So you're not a family. But that needs to be clarified from the outset, because if you tell everybody you're a family and then you fire or then you have a disagreement, you have set, it is your fault as the founder that you have set them up for the expectation of a familial relationship. But if you think of it more from the POV, that and that's the way Reed says it, is that it's a team. It's a football team, right? People come, people go. You play well, you score goals, you stay. Otherwise, you're traded out to somebody else. No bad feelings, but it's a team. And the moment that distinction, everybody is on the same page about what this dynamic is. I think I've seen the best results, even in the emotional interpersonal
And you might have
relationships.
also learned it the hard way.
The hard way, of course.
Same.
Of course.
I learned it the hard way कि boss ऐसे तो नहीं
ऐसे नहीं चलेगा. Oh, bro, मेरा funny thing is मैं तो I reached out to my mentors, right? I reached out to like whoever my mentors, and I was wanting all of them to say there is a way to be, maintain the friendship and work. And all of them unequivocally said, no, make it clear right now. I'm like, oh, shit, that's not what I wanted to hear. But it's been great. I mean, ever since I put that into place.
No, like I relate to what you're saying, and I'm just saying and this applies everywhere, like just having a progressive life of your own. Like just a filmmaking we have, like before Chalchitra I was just directing, but I don't want to we just interviewed right before this probably the best filmmaker of the country, Tamhane. According to all of, like, at least my team,
the Chalchitra team,
we think he'll be the first person to win an Oscar for India.
Okay. And anything I've never seen and stuff, can you just recommend one thing if I had to watch?
The Disciple on Netflix.
Okay.
So and Chaitanya ka, what does he do 85% of the time with the 85% time of his day? Magic. He just practices magic. He just goes to these small conventions in Austria, London. He just performs magic for 10 people. He just is crazy about mentalism. And he's making the best films in India. He's like,
wow.
He just thinks about magic.
How old is he?
Huh?
How old is he?
I think 36, 37.
Good for him.
And hashtag goals hai wo banda, because then he never put that much pressure on ki I'm a filmmaker, please take me.
What is your alternate thing? What is your 10% performance
I think my
of magic? But it needs to be that different though. Don't say vlogging or some shit like that. Give me a different, and it does not need to be something you're doing right now. It could be hashtag goals.
So I'll tell you very interestingly that different thing for me is Chalchitra Talks. I never planned to do this. चल गया ये तो चल गया. No, I never planned.
तो फिर main क्या है अभी?
Filmmaking.
That
is the main. That's the main thing.
Okay.
And sure, like I haven't made something in the last 3-4 years. उससे पहले I was very aggressive with
Chalchitra, but you've been doing for very long, right?
So it will be 6 years on 10th. I think 3 days from now.
Congrats.
So yeah, so वो बहुत अलग चीज़ है. जैसे ये भी है. This is very different from the film podcast on Chalchitra Talks. I was just telling Chaitanya, I get bored of talking to film people after a while. So for me, ये conversation मैं Chalchitra पे नहीं कर पाऊँगा. There is too much pressure. Views कितने आएंगे? Brand कौन? Bro, बस बैठे हैं हम बात कर रहे हैं because we vibe. That was the essence of starting these channels. And my theory is that every time your channel is on a 10 to 100 journey, like 1 to 100 journey, Chalchitra is on that journey. Dude, these 0 to 1s are like what keep you excited. तो और ये same चैतन्य कर रहा है.
100%.
0 to 1 उसका magic है. हमारे 0 to 1s बस वो होते रहने चाहिए कि like कि एक जगह बस बहुत ज़्यादा fixate नहीं करना.
चलचित्र अभी कितने पे?
Subscribers.
हाँ मतलब.
I think on Insta we are on 375.
हाँ वो फटा है.
And YouTube 270. Yeah, that's.
Insta, bro, it's been your. I mean, the consistency is it is egregious. It is egregious. It's annoying.
Egregious.
It's annoying for me and other creators to see. Calm your tits, dude. It's annoying. Like we're figuring out once a week. ये डालते जा रहा है, and you see because you don't care about. So my team has a competitive analysis going of every page in my milieu. So I track and I see what's up with whom, and you're friends. I'm like, oh, and this guy, dude, I see one time he'll be at 230, next time I'll see 300k subs, and I'll be like, do reel viral chali gayi hongi. And you throw so many darts in the dark, one will stick.
Yeah.
But you keep throwing. It's
so this is something, bro, you'll love this. So there's a quote by Sam Altman. people focus too much on their weaknesses. They don't focus like too much on your weakness. Just double down on your strengths. My strength is being a machine gun, not a sniper rifle.
Achha, okay.
Like either sniper.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is from somewhere I like.
You are better at being a machine gun than a rifle.
स्नाइपर आता है एक गोली मारता है.
पता है.
मैं भाई I am very good at like.
I'm better at being a rifle.
Yeah.
One of the first people I've heard say you're better at being a machine gun.
I don't think anyone can defeat me at being a machine gun. The only thing which can defeat me is self-doubt.
Self-doubt.
That's the only thing
Self-doubt.
Validation of others, or like is it too embarrassing, is it this? So I cracked another thing. I've stopped using Instagram. I'm like very healthy. I just open Instagram on my laptop.
To you, that self-doubt, was it a function of what people who you care about think, or what people who you don't know? Like, so were you care
the
about?
People I care about think.
So unke thoughts.
Because that's also.
When have you faced them thinking negatively about you? Was there a particular piece of content or a statement or belief that you made?
100%.
There's
there's a female actor. She messaged me recently, like a very famous name. I think I was just like talking to her about something, and she messaged me. By the way, we all follow you, so you should like be very careful about what you promote on your channel. And I'm like, hey, I'm always happy to learn. I exactly know what she was mentioning because I recommended a podcast and she wasn't in agreement. That podcast is also run by an actor.
Okay.
And she wasn't in agreement with the philosophy of that podcast. So, दो actors है, एक actor को दूसरा actor का पसंद है. So I asked her, hey, I'm happy to improve. Can you please tell me which video you are done? And then she never replied. So,
but you cared about her opinion?
No, not now. 2 years back, I was like, oh fuck, what is she thinking? Or abhi I think I'm getting out of the matrix. I'm totally getting out of the matrix.
I couldn't agree more.
Bhai, jo sochna hai socho. And I think a lot of power comes from owning your own distribution.
The biggest power comes from owning your own distribution. Bhai, matlab, I think it is so empowering to know हम ब्रांड डिपेंडेंट मतलब अच्छा लगता है ब्रांड आता है चेरी आती है अरे लवली थैंक यू बट व्हेन द फाउंडेशन ऑफ द कंपनी और द प्रोडक्ट इज नॉट बेस्ड ऑन यू नो फ्लो इन मार्केट इतना ज़्यादा लाइक ओके यू नो लाइक किसी कोई प्रोडक्ट बनाता है अगर उनका मंथ टू मंथ जूते 10% कम बिकेंगे या 10% ज़्यादा बिकेंगे
राइट
एंटरटेनमेंट में बिफोर कंटेंट केम that could have been 100% to 0% the next month if you didn't get a movie, if you, whatever it was. I think there is an envy in people, in both content creators and film people that are that don't have distribution. So I think I've seen an envy, not an envy, but I've seen an insecurity in, like, for example, Instagram creators that are entirely brand dependent. So you take the makeup creators, for example. I mean, they make their एक month का revenue could be insane, like the amount of money they earn, but they're entirely dependent. So that next month could go down to zilch, and if they make any controversial statement, the brand can back out, and again you're at the behest of the brand. In that case, it's brand. For an actor, it's a producer, etc., etc. So yeah, it's owning the distribution, having this community that is yours is so empowering because you can then be very yourself. You're not faking it.
इसमें और बड़ा वो है कि मान लो कल को you say something controversial, let's say I say something about the movie Animal which everyone is like वैभव ने ये कैसे बोल दिया, you should also know how to build things again from zero. ये वो नवल बोलता है कि even if you take away everything from me, मैं zero से एक ऐसा business बना दूंगा जो like which can earn money for everyone. So having that confidence, यार वो तो कौन छीन सकता है? वो you can't take that away. You can't take Chalchitra Talks away. You can't take वो भी कैसे लोगे? But let's say कि you take that away also. I'll build again something from zero. That is what I'm talking about.
When I moved back to India last year, that's the thing that happened. So Desi Crime didn't release any episode for 6 months because of legal reasons. The podcast was in limbo for a while. Big legal battle I was involved in. That's all I'll say about it. But in those 6 months, it was Desi Crime chala gaya hai. I mean from whatever I knew कि मेरा पॉडकास्ट अब मेरे पास नहीं है, तो मैं क्या करूँ? Not for a second was there, भगवान मैं क्या करूँगा? It was build the next thing now.
Let's
You're a
build the
builder.
next thing.
You're a builder.
Exactly.
You're a builder. Bob the builder. You're a builder. तू build करता है.
So quoting हमारे एक सहपाठी हैं ब्रायन चेस्की, so just quoting him, he once said you have to be just like a serial killer, you have to be a serial entrepreneur. You need to build
I can use that. It's even appropriate.
You need to have the competence to build multiple businesses. You can't lay all your eggs in just Desi Crime, or I can't just do it with like Chalchitra Talks. भाई 10 चीजें बनाओ यार.
10 चीजें बनाओ.
That's where it starts being fun then. And that's where we won't take ourselves seriously, because you have a totally different life apart from like crime and everything.
100%.
And same me, bro. हो गया. Movies are important for me, but I have a life of my own.
मुझे एक चीज बता. You said something about escaping the matrix. Something you feel that you're in the process of doing now. It's a two-parter. One, what was that inflection point that made you feel like, oh shit, I'm stuck in this. I'm stuck in these games, I'm stuck in this group of people, I need to escape it. So can you define what that matrix is for you? Why you felt like escaping it? And third sort of follow-up is, how far have you come in that journey of escaping the matrix?
So for me, the escaping the matrix has to do with the validation of people who are like more accomplished than me, who maybe once, जैसे मान लो अगर मैं उनकी एक टाइम पे validation चाहता था, if they were better podcasters or filmmakers than me, then you are stuck in this loop कि oh, will they like my next video, will they like my next film? So now
तो तुझे fame का कभी नहीं था, sorry to interrupt, तुझे prestige का था, you know. So when Plato talked about the original 4 drivers of fundamental drivers of a human being, ठीक है, those 4 drivers are when in Plato's words, prestige, pleasure, money, power. Because Plato के टाइम पे फेम कुछ होता ही नहीं था. फेम वॉज प्रेस्टीज. आपको 20 दूसरे काउंसिल के लोग जानते हैं तो आप फेमस हो. प्लेबियंस जिसे कहते हैं, वो क्या सोचते हैं, मायने ही नहीं रखता, क्योंकि डेमोक्रेसी तो है नहीं, तो प्लेबियंस क्या, गरीब क्या सोचेंगे, इट डजंट मैटर. दैट्स हाउ दैट सोसाइटी वाज, राइट? Fame is a very modern thing in the long scheme of humanity, right? And the fame that we have access to is ultra modern. It is a 10-year-old, 8-year-old phenomena. इससे ज़्यादा ये phenomena ही नहीं है कि मतलब it is an inconceivable number that 1 million people listen to. It's an inconceivable number.
Absolutely.
But now it is commonplace. हाँ मतलब पॉडकास्ट, ठीक है. So आज के उसमें जब ये एक्सपेरिमेंट अगर आप करो तो आप प्रेस्टीज को एक्चुअली हटा देते हो, आप फेम कहते हो. बट पहले जब ये एक्सपेरिमेंट, ये थॉट एक्सपेरिमेंट वाज ओरिजिनली कम अप विद, इट वाजंट फेम, इट वाज प्रेस्टीज. I think that's what drives you in what you say, prestige. Used to drive you. I think that's a big driver. For me, it was never fame, but it was that validation from people I look up to.
Yes, and this is where one of my theories came in from, which I think now I'm practicing. मैं ज्ञान देता था कि fail in front of your heroes, कि please make a short film जल्दी से, let all your like mentors tell you that you suck, and then get to work. Let them lose faith in you कि तुम्हें आता है, कि तुम्हें आता है. उनको लगने दो ये तो है ही नहीं कुछ. Then you don't have the pressure to impress them. Let them think कि ये तो पेरिफेरी में भी नहीं है कि जो अगला बिग वो बनेगा. And once you don't have that pressure, bro, it's so much fun. Like मैं रोज कुछ recommend कर रहा हूँ, मेरे को मजा आता है, because now it is like consistency. It's just very internal. So अभी वो internal वाला चल रहा है कि क्यों चाहिए इनकी validation, क्या चाहिए. And like it is years of therapy also, years of like reading and stuff. थोड़े बुड्ढे भी हो रहे हैं, अब 30 का हो गया हूँ मैं. So just realizing कि metric ही गलत था. This is something my brother once told me कि मेरे तो सब्सक्राइबर नहीं हो रहे, ये वो. Then like he was, once we were doing a call and he's like, तेरा metric ही गलत है, you should focus on views. So sometimes we win a game and then we realize, oh fuck, we were chasing the wrong metric. अभी मेरे लिए व्यूज़ भी नहीं है. अभी इट्स नॉट लाइक मेट्रिक वो ये कि आप मेट्रिक कौन सा चूज़ कर रहे हो. सो आई थिंक इफ द प्रेस्टीज वॉज द मेट्रिक, आई थिंक आई एम डूइंग अ डिसेंट इनफ जॉब दैट, मान लो आई थिंक आई एम 30% इनटू लाइक जस्ट बीइंग ब्रेकिंग अवे फ्रॉम इट. 30% इज डिसेंट, लाइक आई वुड से.
थोड़ा तो रखना चाहिए.
हाँ मतलब, बट मेरे को लगता है मैं 70-80 तक आ जाऊंगा. 20 हमेशा फर्क पड़ेगा मेरे को कि
हाँ, और पढ़ना चाहिए. Like you should
It will
be
give you a reality
untethered. You need a reality check from the people you respect.
so I have it written a sticky note on my like wall: be untethered.
Be underheard.
Untethered.
Untethered. Be untethered.
Untethered. Because I realized the people मेरे को जिनकी validation चाहिए थी, कुछ ना कुछ वो भी हक देते हैं यार. फिर
Of course.
वो फिर हक देते हैं. फिर लगता है यार कि मैंने इनको पेडेस्टल पे रखा था.
Correct.
फिर now you are not no longer fun. Then like what do I like? एक निखिल तनेजा पॉडकास्ट में एक बहुत सही एक मोमेंट आया था वेयर निखिल एंड भुवन वर टॉकिंग. इट्स अ वेरी गुड पॉडकास्ट एंड कुछ शाहरुख खान रिलेटेड बात हो रही थी. तो भुवन ने निखिल बोलते हैं कि यार मेरे पास अब ये जावेद सर आ गए, इसमें अब मैं नेक्स्ट सीजन देखते हैं क्या करूँगा. तो भुवन बोलता है आपको टी2 टॉक सिंड्रोम हो गया, क्योंकि भुवन ने जो 3 एपिसोड का पॉडकास्ट किया था उसका गेस्ट 1 था शाहरुख खान. इसलिए अब क्या करूँगा, What do I do next? I just got Shahrukh Khan in episode 1. So फिर वो episode 2 में Johnny Sins ले आया था. He legit got Johnny Sins. He's like, bro, क्या है मतलब अगर हम भी जो गेम खेल रहे हैं इसको लाएंगे like what's the end goal? Like मतलब 2 साल बाद हम Chris Williams and Tim Ferriss
and fucking Obama, like what do you have? Yeah.
But I don't know, मतलब this can't be it. Dude.
Yeah, this can't be.
Okay, who is the one we are interviewing? We should keep creating stuff on our own.
Just because I think the soul is that of a builder, an artist, a creative, and build for that internal compass.
Do you consider yourself as an entrepreneur?
Yes, I do.
Now?
No, I've always. Before, I've never thought of myself as a creative.
Oh, you think you're an
entrepreneur first? Creative because the skills align with that. And I think there is the best artists, and I'm saying artists, actors, everything included, are the ones that have an entrepreneurial streak. And I think the best entrepreneurs are the ones that have an artistic streak. And I think Brian Chesky would be a great example
I really love him.
An entrepreneur with an artistic streak. And I think, take SRK or a Clooney, who's an artist with an entrepreneurial streak. For me, I dropped out of college. I was a biology and philosophy major, and I dropped out to become producer in New York and whatnot. So, media was never the world that I sought to enter. Yeah. It happened by happenstance of starting Desi Crime. But I have, ever since entering the space, always viewed content as a product. And I think once you apply the frameworks of product, of supply demand, of basic business to content, I think it's a very easy space to make a lot of money.
Yes. And it's replicable.
Product. That's why I think of it as product. Product is replicable. Art is tough to replicate. So if you over-index on the art of your content, you will struggle week on week to figure out what you have to make. And so then you will not be able to successfully monetize it. But if you think of it as product and then you start thinking, अच्छा अगर product है तो मुझे supply constant रखनी पड़ेगी, तो मैं ऐसा क्या बनाऊँ content जो product का framework fit करता है. तो उस नज़रिए से content को देखना I think is helpful.
Another thing I learned from my brother is about like I'll tell you about community. मेरे बहुत अच्छी realization है communities को लेके. So we have a very active community on Chalchitra Talks. Like we have these clubs and everything. But I realized कि पहले ना बहुत सारी चीज़ें थी उसमें कि you become a member, you'll join our WhatsApp clubs, Vaibhav will do calls with you, फलाना. Now we focus the most on join our WhatsApp clubs.
Okay.
Not the calls I will do. I do those. I do my monthly like things with them, like on and off. हो जाता है कभी-कभी miss हो जाता है because of work. But now the focus is not on that because that's a service. And this is something I learned the hard way. तो वैभव तू तेरा time कितना वो करेगा? You made a product which is the WhatsApp groups. So just focus on the products. Services अब आपको वैभव आएगा तो वो आपके लिए रात को गाना गाएगा बर्थडे पे ये सब services है.
Yeah.
So if you start and services are not scalable.
Yeah, because you get paid for the hour.
Yeah.
And you want to build wealth, you want to make money when you're asleep.
Yes, तो ये भी एक, because ये चीज लोग कम्युनिटी के बारे में नहीं समझते हैं.
Yep.
और बाकी जो लोगों की कम्युनिटी को लेके अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो तो इतनी आउटडेटेड है, लाइक बॉइल्स माय ब्लड.
Example,
लाइक वील गिव यू एक्सेस टू आवर स्टफ लाइक बिफोर द रिलीज एनीवेयर एल्स.
Damn bro, don't call me out. Patrons, you can become our Patreon and get early access to stuff.
That's bullshit. Give them better things.
We're charging prices accordingly. We're not charging Vaibhav Munjal Chalchitra.
No, but this is not even a product or a service.
Good. Agreed.
This is.
But why does if there is a demand for early access, why can't it be quenched at a cost? Why?
Sure, but I just think
it is a very low-hanging fruit.
Exactly, this is a low-hanging fruit. मतलब थोड़ा तो demand.
The thing is, I'm saying the incentive for the creator or the person or the businessman needs to be enough, where if they give that added value, the delta in the return is also proportional. In India at the moment, you are one of the exceptions of those that have created a solid paying community in the content world, right? In the West, it's $1 million. Like, bro, it's insane the amount of money people make from their communities. I think when India reaches that point, I think Patreon pay, India mein one of the biggest hai. Patreon pay.
Give me the numbers.
100 members at the moment.
You have 100 members?
Yeah.
And how much do you charge them?
Average $5 hai. Average $5-6 hai. Which is that's not any major stream. It's pocket change, right, for the company. But it's like just for early access, people are willing to do that.
But like it needs to be better than early access.
No, but why does it need to be better than? It needs to be better than early access only if people are willing to pay the premium. Like,
no,
are there enough people?
But then I'll tell you something. They are not paying you for early access. They are paying
me. No,
because they like you.
I will differ because I'm on this side of it. The waiting time in a Desi Crime community for our episode is unparalleled compared to the content you or anybody else is
100%.
making.
Please educate me on this.
There is this. We have become a Saturday ritual in many people's lives. Saturday ritual, like देखना है. दूसरा, crime के जो fan होते हैं, उन्हें वो story सुनने का इतना yearning होता है, इतना deep yearning होता है, और इंडिया में कोई और इंग्लिश में ऑफर नहीं कर रहा है, कोई नहीं ऑफर कर रहा, nobody else. So we are the only source for that. Plus they love us, and I mean we love them. Thanks for becoming patrons. Thank you, patrons. But there's nobody to offer that. You look at the corollaries in the West of a crime junkie or whatnot. These are people whose Patreon solely is making $800,000 to $1 million a month. Okay, and early access is a big perk in that. Extra episode also is, which is actual value add. Like exclusive episode, proper value add. Proper value add. But something I want to build up to properly, 100%. Capacity nahi hai. But so I'm just saying that the people really want early access. It's something they're willing to pay for. The small example being, whenever we put up an early access post, we get 2 to 3 new patrons who join by virtue of wanting to listen to that episode. Yeah, it's a vertical I want to grow. It's a vertical I have a lot of faith in. To anybody listening, it's a hedge. But in 4-5 years, if anybody is willing to play the community game right now, I know you are already doing very well on that front. But for other creators in general, if we are to follow the American trends for monetizing the community, in 3 to 5 years, there is a lot of money in this space.
But मेरे को ये भी लगता है कि it stops being a community once it crosses a certain number. The term needs to be different.
Financially or by number of members?
By number of members.
Okay.
Like let's say if it crosses like say a 3-digit number, it's not a community. They are just paid subscribers. So there is a difference between a paid subscriber and being a part of the community member. मेरे को ये लगता है वो फिर आप बुला रहे हो बुलाने के लिए उन्हें कम्युनिटी, बट 1000 लोगों की कम्युनिटी वो कम्युनिटी नहीं है. ठीक है, मेरे को ऐसा लगता है.
तुम लोग कितने अभी हैं मेंबर्स?
190 या अराउंड 190.
तो अभी कम्युनिटी बुला रहे हो?
हम कम्युनिटी बुलाते हैं, लाइक आते हैं लोग जाते हैं. दिस इज समथिंग वेयर आई डोंट स्पेंड अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम ऑन नाउ. बिकॉज मेरे को अगेन मेट्रिक गलत था. पहले मेरे को लगता था भाई कितना बड़ा, फिर मेरे को समझा ओ ब्रांड्स हैज मोर मनी, ओ दिस हैज मोर मनी. समटाइम्स वी जस्ट प्ले द रॉन्ग गेम जस्ट बिकॉज आई हैव द बिगेस्ट or maybe one of the biggest communities, or maybe I cracked it better than some people. It's still a small game.
It's still a small game. It's a very small. It's like it's like a lion hunting for many rabbits. Instead, better energy would be spent getting a buffalo down.
यार आप लोग गेम ही दूसरा चलो.
गेम दूसरा, बट मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, ये अभी है. आई थिंक ये गेम ये खरगोश से भैंसा बन रहा है in the 3 to 4 year timeline.
No, because it is roots. So it's like वो जो T-shaped जो model होता है, community is your roots. It's always going to help your foundation.
No, but I'm pushing again. I'm saying beyond foundation, bro. If you're making $1 million off of your community, it's not foundation.
Yeah.
That is multiple creators in the way. There is not one example of that in India. There are multiple people.
100%.
100 plus people. So then it becomes more than that. India is not at that stage right now, but I do think 3 to 5 years that it might, I think we'll have some of those.
So this is like that 1000 true fans concept of Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, it is that. It's an cliched saying now that 1000 true fans, but it is that. And I think if you can get $10 per 1000 fans, I think you can get more. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
But again, so यहाँ पे labeling is a very interesting term. Are they your fans? Are they जैसे राजस्थान रॉयल्स वाले उन्हें super fans बुलाते हैं. हर जने का अलग term.
Semantics हाँ different.
कि like are they your super fans? What do you call? जैसे we call them our godfathers, gladiators. So our like membership tiers is Goodfellas, Gladiators, and Godfathers.
Nice.
So everything film dependent. So वो ये कि what terms are you choosing for it? So. But if they are your fans, I don't know. I have always had a problem with the word fan.
I hate that word.
Because it's a very power dynamic.
I hate that word.
Ki the person is more than... There is more to that person. They are just not a Chalchitra Talks or a Desi Crime fan.
Yeah.
So, but it just puts them on a lower wo.
I get very uncomfortable. Listeners, I love listeners. Yes, you're a listener. I love that so much. So it's the perfect... It captures the relationship very well.
अरे so सब भाई कितना सही टॉपिक है. So उन्हें क्या बुलाते हैं? टेलर स्विफ्ट वाले लोगों को.
Swifties.
So let's think of these words. Swifties or believers.
चलचित्र का मैं सोच रहा हूँ. Chalchits. Chits. Chits. Not bad.
Believers or हाँ?
Oh, Tifosi.
Tifosi spelling?
Tifosi.
What does it mean?
The Red Army or something?
Tifosi.
Yeah. That's better than Swift. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that out loud. No. Swift is also great.
Or what else is there? Like in any, I'm just talking, what do you call Trump fans?
No. Race? No. No, that's not.
Okay. और किसकी? Just like trying to understand लोगों ने fan base क्या बनाया? What identity have they given to their fandoms? It can be कोई IPL की टीम या कोई artist. Kendrick Lamar के fans को क्या बोलते हैं? Just intelligent people, I don't know.
Lamarckins.
Yeah, but just like it's interesting like how these terms come, which is like since you're talking about Taylor Swift and all these people, have you attended a lot of music concerts in your life?
Not as many as I would like, but one of the perks of living in a city like New York was access to concerts, live music all the time. Nice. Like there was every day was a Coldplay day there. यहाँ Coldplay is like February, Jan में एक दिन पूरा देश पगला रहा है. वहाँ they have Madison Square Garden. So if there is something happening at the MSG, it is at the caliber of MSG, and something is happening at the MSG every day. So every day is some MSG worthy performance.
हमारा DY पाटिल में हर बार कुछ why is DY पाटिल not booked 365 days a year? Again, a business model.
Build a big stadium in Bombay and make a lot of money. Yes.
Yeah,
very good business idea. If only you had the capital to do that.
I think ये stadiums को exploit करना अभी चालू हुआ है. I think India में पहले नहीं होता था ना.
For sure.
यार अच्छा यहाँ तो क्रिकेट के अलावा भी कुछ हो सकता है.
But India's willingness to spend on these experiences it's a new thing. It's a novel thing. It's not like the willingness to pay 4, 5, 10,000 rupees to watch somebody for 6 hours existed pre-COVID. Nobody would have. The economy was not in the place where people would have, nor was the culture of the urban middle class in a way. So अब क्योंकि हो गया है, they're spending over-indexing on experiences and whatnot.
Yeah. Tell me one thing. Tell me a weakness you have as a founder.
Interview है क्या?
Yes.
Audition तो मुझे लगा मैंने पास कर लिया है.
Weakness as a founder.
My weakness is that I am very punctual, sir, and I'm very always delivering on time. And it gets on my head, sir. That's why
थोड़ा कुछ juice है यार, काम पहुंच गए.
Weakness as an entrepreneur. What is my weakness? Yeah. Okay. Something I work on. It has its ups and downs. Okay, so it's not a straight weakness. I'm unable to treat it as that, but I have a tendency to micromanage.
This counter argument like micromanaging is good.
I never heard it apart from giving it to myself. That's why I haven't gotten rid of it.
I'll share a few articles with you. So there's this founder Sri Ram Krishnan.
Okay.
So he had written about it, like how the best founders always micromanage.
Yeah.
This is like a counter argument. Not everyone agrees.
Not everybody
with it,
agrees.
But there is this whole side of like great founders being like, it just makes sense. But you need to micromanage on the right things.
Yeah.
You can't like micromanage on the wrong things.
Yeah. And I've realized that there have been instances. And again, micromanaging ke negative consequences aren't that high in single instances. It's the compounding effect where it stings people, or you overspend energy on low effort things.
And low effort people.
So I think low effort people. मेरा लिए बहुत helpful framework रहा था, bro. Like there are few frameworks or things you read that just give you so much relief.
So for me, the word is mechanism. I'm all about mechanism.
Bro, I'm all about frameworks. That's for me. It's frameworks. It's the same thing. Potato. One thing I read was, bro, not everything is a graded assignment. Some are pass-fail. Do you know what pass-fail is?
No.
Okay, my God. Vaibhav, this is going to be so helpful. It comes from one of Atiya's mentors, who's a billionaire Mexican immigrant. I forget his name. Great episode if you can link it. Anyway, so in US colleges, I'm sure schools में होगा, मुझे college का experience है. आप अपनी कुछ classes को instead of A+A, B+B, you can opt for something called pass-fail, which is that आपको grades नहीं मिलेंगे, percentile नहीं मिलेगा, आप या तो pass हो गए या तो fail हो गए, ठीक है? You can opt for that. Now, you shouldn't opt for that scale of that metric for many subjects, because then your people will see कि अच्छा he got lazy and he was scared to get graded on many things, तो इसलिए pass fail ही choose किया है. But कुछ में आप pass fail करते हो तो the masters program में आपका employer don't mind it in US, ठीक है? Pass fail is a very low stress metric system. You can, you're not trying to get an A+, you're just trying to pass. If you think of certain tasks in your life as pass-fail, instead of trying to be a perfectionist in them, the stress that goes off your system, and as somebody who micromanages, I micromanage the edits, bro. I'm like, the cut needs to be, the angle, the everything, the L cut ho ya jo ho, things that somebody in my place in a conventional setup wouldn't be doing. I'm very involved. I cannot not be that. So I just distribute tasks as certain tasks are pass-fail. So for example, responding to emails is a pass-fail act. If you think of it as a graded act, then you'll try to make every single email you ever send out in your life an A+. But that is very unhealthy. You can't make every email response when you have 50 emails when you wake up and you need to respond to brand or person or director. You can't make it A+. Think of it as pass-fail. Stress चला जाता है, मैं फट से सारे email, घटिया email, I don't overthink the email. And then certain tasks are graded. the quality of your video, well, that's a graded task. So you invest that energy.
दो बहुत beautiful example इसमें I'll tell you about like the employee management like or the people you work with management thing. So हमारी टीम में like there's this guy who comes late, ठीक है? अब बहुत टाइम से इशू चल रहा था हमारा. Now the problem with founders is they fixate. ठीक है, तुम उन्हें फिक्सेशन दे दो, मतलब यार इस पे ये क्यों लगा है कि ये है. सो आई ट्राइड टू टेल हिम टाइम पे आएगा, 1 साल हो गया, 1.5 साल हो गया, बट देन आई रियलाइज ये नहीं आएगा. बट एवरीथिंग एल्स ही वाज डूइंग वाज परफेक्ट. एवरीथिंग एल्स आई मेड पीस विद. फॉर हिम देयर इज एन एक्सेप्शन, ही कैन कम लेट. ठीक है, इट्स लाइक कि इसके लिए वर्क करेगा इफ ही कैन कम लेट. And then I stopped stressing over because it's a fixation. हम ये fixate कर सकते हैं वो कितने बजे जा रहे हैं, but there is a time to it. इससे late नहीं आ सकते. ये मत करो, अब ये pass fail हो गया. I have already made an exception for you. Don't be late than this. But अब everything else is so good कि I can stop thinking about it. Dude, मेरे को नहीं करना.
How big is your team?
Very small. Like the full time there are only 4 people. So the person I'm mentioning is in this room only.
Yeah.
Because you understand it ki do I fixate on this?
Yeah.
Because we can fixate beautifully on things. It's like beautiful how well we can fixate, overthink, strategize. तुम उसे fixation बोला, overthinking बोला या strategize,
जो बुलाना है
तुम बुलाओ, बट वो आता है, हमें आता है, बस हम हाइपर फोकस, तुम जहाँ बोलोगे वहाँ करोगे. बट वंस आई रियलाइज कि भाई मेरा तो ये दिस डजंट डिजर्व माई अटेंशन.
बहुत अर्ली ऑन इन माई प्रोफेशनल करियर मुझे एक मैनेजर ने एडवाइस दी थी आफ्टर आई rebelled against certain things happening at the company, and it was a very trivial thing. Like I shouldn't have, in retrospect मेरा कुछ ज़्यादा जा नहीं रहा था वो होने से, बट मुझे बोलना था तो मैंने बोला. He said, Aryaan, pick the hills you choose to die on. Don't die on every hill. Okay?
Yeah.
Just pick the hills you're willing to die on, because it's very important. You don't waste your energy. So, I think you can't fixate on everything.
I also want to talk to you about like so मैंने एक pattern देखा है in general, the way loneliness is increasing. I'm taking a massive big segue कि basically the way loneliness is increasing. मैं कल ही एक बहुत अच्छे psychologist का वीडियो देख रहा था, how everyone is becoming a narcissist. So the disorders which are prevalent in
Which
the
psychologist,
world,
if you remember?
वो आता रहता है यार, ये लेक्स वगैरह पे, द गेमर है उसके यूट्यूब चैनल के नाम.
Healthy Gamer.
Yeah. I don't know if he is a psychologist, but
he is a Harvard trained psychiatrist.
He's a psychiatrist.
I think so. Yeah.
So उसका आज ही मैंने वीडियो देखा है कि how all of us are becoming narcissists. So the kind of crimes which are happening in the world, and like जो मेरे को लग रहा है ना, so my theory is people are becoming sick. Everyone is becoming like sicker, if it's a term, कि पहले जितने बीमार थे उससे ज़्यादा बीमार हो रहे हैं, emotionally speaking और mentally speaking. डायग्नोस नहीं हो रहा है एंजाइटी को लेके, डिप्रेशन को लेके, हाउ दे आर फिक्सिंग इट. कभी कभी हम कुछ देसी क्राइम का पॉडकास्ट सुन ले तो पता चल जाता है कि भाई लोग ऐसा भी कर रहे हैं, बट कभी कभी हमें पता ही नहीं चलेगा. दोज पीपल आर लिविंग विद यू, दे हैव लाइक इलनेसेस जिनके इंडिया में नाम भी नहीं है. इंडिया में लाइक बिकॉज द रिसर्च इज नॉट देयर येट, लाइक इट कैन बी टू मेनी थिंग्स. बट do you have a take on this? Have you ever noticed that people becoming sick and like them not doing things about it, and your overall consciousness hai, it just becoming denser? Like sure, like we are attracting energies of each other, we are attracting like nicer people, but मेरे को लगता है collectively it's becoming denser, lonelier, and like people don't know how to vent it now, and some people like choose their vices of like maybe like watching porn or like doing alcohol, but then there are darker sides to it where the crimes start happening. But then there are sides to it where people are not maybe doing alcohol or drugs or not killing anyone, and they're just getting ill. I don't know if I'm making
you make sense. I have first hand encountered it in terms of research, right? So it's substance that I have to deal with.
Tell me about it. Like
so when we cover stories, man, you get to hear the listener gets to hear a 40-minute rendition of it. But the writing of it done of it is over a 30-hour period of engaging with every possible material available about it. So we really get to dive deep into the criminal's mind and psyche and where they're coming from. The answer to the rise in certain types of crime that you are saying, firstly, and I think I go to a Steven Pinker or a Jonathan Haidt before a dark conversation like the dark subject like this. Take a step back, look at the history of crime or history of any form of bigotry. It's falling. The world is becoming a better, safer place overall, objectively, over 100, 200, 300 year time span. That being the preface that we are a much better society than pehle. Just keeping that in mind, because otherwise people get gloomy and sad, "Hamari duniya kiti kharab hai, I'm so unlucky in the times, we're born in great times." Now, that said, I think crimes are being reported of more. Okay, so reporting ज़्यादा है, visibility ज़्यादा है. You will get to know Kozhikode का crime मुंबई में बैठे बैठे एंड मुंबई का क्राइम कश्मीर में बैठे बैठे. ऐसा पहले कभी नहीं हुआ है. ऐसा पहले इन द हिस्ट्री ऑफ द वर्ल्ड नहीं हुआ है कि अफ्रीका की 2 ट्राइब्स लड़ रही हैं एंड इट इज ऑन योर फीड. You find out about it the day off. Never happened before. You're just inundated with negativity coming from every single latitude and longitude. So that's one big thing. तो लगता है कि बहुत हो रहा है ये, और पहले नहीं हुआ करता था. पहले भी हुआ करता था बहुत ज़्यादा, बट बताया नहीं जाता था. So you didn't come to know of it. That's one side of it. ठीक है. The other side of it is, and a different type of loneliness I do think is festering. A different type. I think it's a loneliness brought about by phones and social media, and you getting to see others like other. I mean, everybody's talked about that. I'm not offering a novel insight, which is you're inundated with the best moments of different people's lives.
Yes.
इसका एक actionable item दूंगा वैसे लोगों को करने को जो मैंने किया है. I follow very few people. Most of them are muted. You and I think 20-30 other people are unmuted on my feed. In fact, when we first met, I muted you.
Bro, I love you for saying this. I follow people and mute them.
I
follow and like post and stories and mute them.
I follow and mute them. Instinctively, first thing I do is mute them.
Follow and mute.
Follow and mute. Unless I follow to see your stories, which is like a etymology nerd, for example. I follow only to follow his style, his stuff. And there are ऐसे बहुत कम लोग को मैं उसके लिए follow करता हूँ. हम लोग को social relationships और करना पड़ता है इसलिए करते हैं primarily. वो बहुत ज़्यादा होता है, ठीक है. तो उन लोग को मैं म्यूट करता हूँ. Unless you become a friend of mine or somebody who offers value, who offers value to my life, मैं unmute कर दूंगा. तो most people are muted. I think that's a great way to stop comparing yourself all the time. It is insane. It is so lovely कि I'm just seeing the lives of people I love or things I love. बस उसके अलावा मेरे फीड पे कुछ है नहीं, तो मुझे कोई कंपैरिजन फील ही नहीं होता. कौन सी पार्टी में मैं नहीं हूँ, कौन से इसमें नहीं इन्वाइटेड था, ये सब थॉट्स ही नहीं है क्योंकि यू डोंट केयर अबाउट इट, राइट. ऑफ कोर्स द मंक लाइक थिंग वुड बी टू नॉट केयर डिस्पाइट सीइंग इट, बट इतना महान तो मैं नहीं हूँ, ठीक है. दिखती हैं कुछ चीज़ें तो लगता है काश मैं भी वहाँ होता, तो मैं क्यों ही देखूँ वो. इट इज़ सो अननेचुरल टू कॉन्स्टेंटली बी सीइंग समबडी सिलेक्टिव एस्पेक्ट. वो आपको अपना डिप्रेशन और थेरेपी जाते वक्त की स्टोरी नहीं दिखा रहे हैं. वो आपको अपने बहुत दे आर शोइंग अ पार्ट ऑफ देयर लाइव्स दैट दे वांट यू टू बी जेलस ऑफ. व्हाई शुड आई सी दैट व्हेन द इंटेंशन इज स्टेटस सिग्नलिंग? व्हाई शुड आई प्ले दैट गेम? Anyway, I don't think most people are able to protect themselves from that level of status signaling.
This is beautifully put. They are not able to protect themselves. Yeah. And the thing is, they don't even know they have to protect themselves. They
don't even know they have to protect themselves. And I think, देखो US में हमारे upper middle class milieu में बहुत awareness है. हम करते नहीं, but awareness है. Majority of India, majority of America में awareness नहीं है कि ये problem है. आप इंडिया में देखोगे, everybody is on their phone all the time. Right? There is no awareness that this might be wrong, this might be bad for you, bad for your brain. And I think that comparison, when you go back to your home and you see the walls around you and you go, the 40 people whose life I had an intimate view of, उनके घर के अंदर की जो मैंने स्टोरी देखी थी, उनका घर, उनकी 4 दीवारें इन 4 दीवारों से इतनी बेहतर है. मेरी क्या जिंदगी है? How will I ever escape this shitty one bedroom? If that's in your mind all the time, it will lead to loneliness. People have, it's such a different flavor of loneliness, such a different flavor of, bro, imagine, it's so instinctive to us कि अब आज अगर तू अपना Instagram खोलेगा, you will probably see 30 people's most intimate moment of the best most intimate moment, and you go back to your own bedroom and you're like, my life is not anything like that. So I think that has led to that loneliness, the healthy gamer and you talk about, that have led to the preponderance of a certain kind of crime or a certain kind of mental ailment. But keep in mind that reporting bhi bahut ho rahi hai.
No, so we'll stick to this. I want to ask you a question about Steven Pinker. मैंने बहुत सुना है, मेरे पास उनकी किताब पढ़ी है but पढ़ी नहीं है.
Enlightenment now.
The one where he says कि violence which is currently there is lesser than the violence we've ever had.
Yes.
Two questions. Has he taken into consideration loneliness? Has he spoken about? Because my thing is not violence. I'm speaking about loneliness. And has he spoken about digital media and like?
No, I think I don't think the book came out. I think his follow-up book, which I haven't read, I think talks about that. But his contemporary is Jonathan Haidt. You know Jonathan Haidt?
I know this.
Coddling of the American Mind.
Yeah, I think I know this. Yeah.
Haidt details the digital phenomena very well, about what led to this hyper-coddled American generation. Jiska, like everything was going well. Crime fall, per capita GDP increasing, healthcare access increasing, mental health reducing, suicide increasing. ये क्यों? Like these are actual proxies for एक sphere में तो गलत हो रहा है. Suicides बढ़ी हैं, mental health depression, reported depression बढ़ा है. So they were able to track it to many things. One was the introduction of the iPhone and Instagram. It maps on exactly to suicides, especially in females, young females, teenage females, सबसे ज़्यादा. ठीक है, and it just goes whoop, and boys में भी उतना नहीं but है. तो एक वो हुआ. And I think Haidt's writings are something you would enjoy a lot. He gives other reasons also. He gives hyper protected and coddled kids in terms of freedom नहीं दिया जाता, free play कम हो गया था. तो देखो 90s में अमेरिका में एक चीज़ हुई थी where news started reporting everything and anything. And there was a spike in the kidnappings that happened in the 90s in America. Small spike, very small spike. But that small spike was reported disproportionately.
Okay.
So the sense in the country was कि a kidnapper is outside your home all the time. The parents became hyper vigilant. It went from a society where kids used to go to school खुद चल के, वापस खुद चल के, इतना ज़्यादा independence बच्चों में inculcate किया जाता था, वो सब कट हो गया. Everything was a parent has to be there. They need to have chaperones. पार्क में बच्चे खेल रहे हैं तो लोग parents ध्यान दे रहे हैं. This generation, when they turned 18, 19 and went to American college campuses and they didn't have chaperones and people to look out for them, you saw another rise in loneliness, anxiety, a bunch of these things. So they detail, it's a multi-causal sort of explanation that Haidt and Greg Lukianoff, who's the co-author of that book, they came up with. Fascinating read. I do think digitally induced loneliness and loneliness in general is increasing. But other things are improving in our life. Like it's not a bad world we live in.
Yeah, no, मतलब.
But
I don't know why you're saying it. It's okay.
मुझे लगता नहीं लोग बहुत gloomy हो जाते हैं. लोग ये सुन के सोचते हैं कि हाँ दुनिया बहुत खराब है. नहीं, मैं मतलब I just want to say दुनिया is not खराब. But yeah, loneliness is one issue which honestly it can be tackled also. It's not that it's easy to solve also, in my opinion, with things like, I don't know, something as small as muting everybody or just going out.
And I think I haven't seen people publicly talk about muting other people. In fact, मैंने सोचा था कि I should do it, like कि where you tell people that you can mute me. आप post ही डाल दो, like yeah, just it's okay, like you don't need to see everything. कि कोई ऐसा.
That's a good one.
कि and generally I don't know if I've done it maybe few years back. Recently तो नहीं किया है. You don't need to see it. Like जैसे I'll tell you, like, there's a guy of my age, far better filmmaker than me. He's quite younger than me. I invite him to all my things. He invites me to all his things. He is one of the most accomplished young filmmakers in the country now. मैं उसको day one से mute किया हुआ है. But I have immense respect for him. Immense respect. I like applaud his work. I promote his work. पर मैं क्यों देखूं तू क्या तेरा like हर जगह तेरे को ये award मिल रहा है, ये मिल रहा है. It's not good for me.
It's not good.
It's not good for. I love you.
It's such a nuanced take. It's such a. I swear to God, see, you're not the first person I've told honestly that I mute people because I want it to be very clear. You know, like about एक तो I hate following people क्योंकि मजबूरी से करना. मैं तो पहले करता ही नहीं था. मैं इस फील्ड में ही नहीं था. अब इस फील्ड में आओ तो आपको रिलेशनशिप के चक्कर में लोगों को करना पड़ता है. तो मैंने कहा the only way to circumvent that is muting them. But I think people should mute the fuck out. People should block and mute unabashedly. Negativity हटाओ. When your Instagram is a digital extension of who you are. आप अपने घर में सबको तो आने दोगे नहीं. तो आप अपने Instagram पे क्यों अपने digital feed में if you are spending 5 to 7 hours a day on your phone, especially us as creators, we do it also from I have to watch it sometimes. I need to see अच्छा ये कैसा perform कर रहा है, इस पे क्या response है. I'm not doing it because I'm doom scrolling. I'm doing it because it's work also. So if your space of work, treat it like an office. Treat your Instagram like an आपको सबको ऑफिस में तो आने नहीं दोगे, तो सबको मत आने दो ना फिर अपने Instagram पे.
And another thing which has really helped, like I think people like you and me, is that like we have separate identities and entities of like Aryaan or Vaibhav and Desi Crime and Chalchitra. जिन लोगों का same होता है ना.
Oh bro, मैं वो अच्छा but जिन लोगों का same होता है वो voluntarily वो करते हैं. वो फेम के लिए एस्पायर करते हैं और उन्हें फेम मिलता है. वो गेम फेम वाला खेल रहे हैं. अच्छा. तो मुझे बुरा मैं लाइक
बुरा की बात नहीं कर रहा.
नहीं बट वो फेम वाला गेम खेल रहे हैं. वो चाहते हैं वो that's what they're vying for. When you're vying for that, then the cost is something you have to pay. So, I think you and I have experienced that unintentionally. We weren't vying for that, but we ended up getting it.
Right.
And we're like, oh, sugar is sweet. We know sugar is bad for us, but it's delicious. Right? That's what prestige and validation and fame is. Like, you know too much of it is, you know that, you objectively know that. But you also know, जो मजे आते हैं जब मिलता है
ब्रो.
ठीक है, तो I think we are not playing that game, and I'm not saying we are playing a better game, they are playing a worse game, virtue in my game. No, you're playing a game that you like. Some people play money game, some people play power game. सबका अपना गेम है, हमारा अपना गेम है. बट मुझे उनके लिए कम बुरा इसलिए लगता है क्योंकि वो वॉलंटरली वो खुद को they are making themselves the brand. ठीक है, they are making themselves the product. I can't become the product. I'll be the goofiest fucking shit on my thing because that's who I am. The moment I start putting terms and conditions on how I am displayed to the public or who I am, that's not the game I intended to play in the first place. मेरा ना मुंबई से बहुत, why I asked you what the matrix for you was.
Oh, it's leaving Mumbai?
No, not leaving Mumbai, but coming to Mumbai, there was one day where 4 people at the same go. My agent, publicist, 2 friends, they all brought up the same thing. Same day, different instances about, Aryaan, think a little about your positioning.
Fuck.
And that word, bro, Vaibhav, that word stung me. Positioning? तो वो तुम्हारा गेम है. तुम लोग को फर्क पड़ता है लोग तुम्हें कैसे देखें. Don't tell me to play your game. But the thing is, if you're always surrounded by people playing a certain game, you involuntarily start playing that game. A fish in the sea doesn't know what water is. Right? So you start forgetting that you're playing a game not of your want. And you and I are people who are good at playing games. हम उनका गेम खेल के भी जीतेंगे. बट मेरे चॉइस का गेम नहीं है. तो वो तंग करने लगता है. It starts biting you. इसलिए मैं ना चला. I left Bombay for 2 months. I wasn't like in town. I was in Indonesia and you know like मुझे break चाहिए. इस positioning और ये सब this got too much for me.
मेरा ये इतना फक था ना Aryaan कि so what I use this app Freedom which like blocks me out of Instagram for the whole day. It just unlocks for 2 hours a day. अब मैं वो भी नहीं खोलता. Now I've reached a level where I just don't open on my phone. ये इतना ज़्यादा fuck because I understood that I'm an addict. First इसमें stage ये है कि understand you're an addict. I'll give you an example. Like sometime back, Samantha Ruth-Prabhu followed us. Bro, I'm like, fuck, Samantha Ruth-Prabhu followed. और अभी कुछ दिन पहले ना मैंने डोपामीन ब्रो Samantha followed us. And then अब मैंने एक दिन ऐसे चलचित्र से कोई स्टोरी डाली ना, I used to have this habit to see कि किसने स्टोरी देखी, कितने वेरीफाइड टिक वगैरह. मैंने देखा Samantha चलचित्र की स्टोरी देख रही है, इसने तो बहुत पहले किया था. Then I'm like, वैभव इस लूप में मत जाना, because then you'll start like seeing everything. Is she still seeing the stories? Why is she seeing the stories? Okay, I'm getting conscious. She shouldn't. It's such a, and this is the loop where you get conscious and then you're not able to work. And for me, it was so bad that I really need to take a distance from this. And I did, and it's great. I think overall, it got so bad that मेरे को internal wiring change करनी थी.
How important is it to you to have non-industry friends?
Now it is very, dude, it's the most important thing. This is something I discussed with Rohan Joshi.
Yeah.
I met him like properly once. Like we just met for breakfast. And this is the Nutcracker गए थे हम. उन्होंने ये चीज़ बोली, Vaibhav, you know, one of the best things I have a friend who is a doctor. I have a friend who is a, let's say, a magician. उसने मेरे को अपने 10 दोस्त बताए. He didn't mention comedians.
Yeah.
This is my thing. And bro, the industry friend thing is...
It's so important, dude. It's so important to... I think the crux of that is people who are your friends, not because of what you are, but who you are. Not because you are Vaibhav Chalchitra, but because you are Vaibhav Munjal. Your non-industry friends are friends only because of that. They're not friends. At least I say this for my meetings with my non-industry, it's a loaded word, but friends that are doing different things, whether they're my college friends or they're my friends in the US or in different parts of the world, they don't fucking care what Desi Crime is. They don't care who I am in terms of professionally. They think I'm a cool guy. I think they're cool people.
So isme I think there is I've been thinking there is a nuance here which is very under talked about. People, this is an idea I'm working on. I don't have like as a surpair of this. People who are in the industry are obsessed with non-industry friends and उनको ना kick मिलती है सोच के कि मेरा 10 साल से ये दोस्त है. Basically it's like a void that a school friend fills कि it's a ego thing for them. कि
okay, it's complete.
मतलब वही है कि in the sense कि it needs to be very very pure, but like it can seep in very easily कि I am hanging out with them और जो भी है, because कहीं ना कहीं I'll take example of शाहरुख खान. अगर शाहरुख खान के 4 स्कूल के फ्रेंड्स हैं तो ऐसा थोड़ी उनको क्या फर्क. ब्रो वो शाहरुख खान है. इन एनी रूम अगर ओबामा जाएगा, ओबामा के 4 दोस्त थे जिसके साथ वो समोसा खाता था, ब्रो वो ओबामा है. यू कांट टेक इट अवे फ्रॉम हिम. सो दैट इज गोइंग टू बी देयर. चाहे तुम और मैं इतने फेमस नहीं,
मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, मतलब हमारी वो औकात नहीं है कि
नहीं, बट हो जाएगी. बट आई एम जस्ट सेइंग कि फॉर मतलब इट्स लाइक कि द like I love this term, narcissism of self-care. So there is this narcissism of having non-industry friends. There is narcissism involved in this.
I think the nuance is a good one. I think in some cases that might be okay. I'll push back on how it is not in my case, and in some people who are, no. Okay, not in a, I'm just trying to figure out the idea right now, so don't worry. No ego involved here. There is a certain joy I got when I left Bombay for a while. I took a trip to Indonesia. And I went back to my habit. तो before I moved to India, मैं backpack कर रहा था. मैं digital nomad की तरह, मैं यूरोप में रहा, अफ्रीका में रहा, बहुत जगह रहा, ठीक है. एंड वहाँ दोस्ती सारी spontaneous होती थी, या तो bars में या बाहर हो, sporadic and spontaneous and serendipitous, ठीक है. वो यहाँ के थोड़ा कम हो गया. यहाँ के वो serendipity और वो spontaneity, वो it was more same लोगों से मिलना, same लोगों से रब करना. तो यार आप 10 बार एक इंसान से अगर ऐसे रब करो तो वो थोड़ा ऐसा होके दोस्त बन ही जाता है. वो तो मतलब मजबूरी से दोस्त. नॉट अ बैड थिंग, नॉट अ बैड पर्सन, लाइक व्हाटएवर. ऐसे ही दोस्त बन रहे थे. आई मिस दैट. हाय आई एम आर्यान, दैट्स इट. I missed because it became hi I'm Aryaan from the Desi Crime you know, and so it led to a certain identity coming into the picture in every interaction, and the friendships were all marred by that. It's not good or bad, it's just what it is. It's just what it is. It felt so good and liberating. I went to watch the Euros at this French bar. I think France का game चल रहा था in Bali, And I just ended up befriending all the French people there, even though I didn't support that team. I was supporting Portugal. And it was just, they became friends because I am a goofy person and they were all goofy people. And we became such tight friends that we ended up spending so much time. I'm going to go meet them in January. मेरी दोस्तियाँ ऐसी होती हैं. उन दोस्तियों की, वो दोस्ती ये नहीं है कि I'm reminiscing school time friendships. It's an active effort to make friendships that are outside a certain echo chamber.
Bro, ये तो people are not working towards it. मैं अलग चीज की बात कर रहा था, but ये बहुत important है. ये जो आप कर रहे हो, this is so important. And यहाँ पे भी मैं romanticize तमाशा वे मैं बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ कि आप बाहर गए और आपकी personality अलग. You are actively working on this. Like कि आप क्रिस विलियमसन सबसे ज़्यादा इस चीज़ की बात करता है कि द अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम्स अ गाय हैज़ गॉन टू अ गर्ल मतलब एंड सेड कि आई एम दिस पर्सन, द नंबर्स आर सो ड्रास्टिकली डिक्रीजिंग. एंड उसका जो डायरेक्ट जो कोरिलेशन है विद लोनलीनेस, पीपल डोंट आस्क आउट अदर पीपल नाउ, दे डोंट लाइक टेक दैट चांस. And like this is something I always do, be it a guy also, be it like anyone. If someone is reading a book and if I'm at a place, I ask them क्या पढ़ रहे हो,
strike up. And to be noted, you know, एक मेरा बहुत बड़ा ये pet peeve है, ये मुझे लगता है मेरा सबसे one of the controversial opinion, मुझे इतना खलता है. लोगों को लगता है ये naturally आता है, ये instinct build करना पड़ता है. लोगों को लगता है कि oh you're an extrovert so ऐसे. I hate that word. I hate that label so much because I personally believe extroversion introversion झूठ है. I know it's a very radical take. मुझे लगता है it is a skill. It is like walking. We are social beings. It is part of our DNA. It's like telling somebody who's a little overweight and is not caring about their fitness and saying you should go for a walk, and that guy going actually I'm not a walker.
It's like वो Libra thing ना, कि I'm a Libra. I think
exactly.
Sometimes
it's a crutch.
People get away with things just because they think they are an introvert.
Not just other things, bro. I did that to myself. I got out of a long-term relationship. I broke up. I wasn't in good shape. I was not confident. I was insecure. फलाना ढिमकाना, ठीक है. मैं फ्लैट में रहा करता था, ठीक है. And with frat house in America, parties all the time. And मैं अपने कमरे में बैठ के कीर्तन कर रहा हूँ, meditate कर रहा हूँ, TM कर रहा हूँ, transcendental meditation, frowning upon my frat brothers partying and meeting women and doing all of this because I was so insecure that I had to be derisive towards them to come to peace with the fact that I'm uncomfortable to go to the party. And the way I'd make peace with it is going, मैं तो हुई introvert. और मैं उससे पहले कभी introvert था नहीं. मुझसे पहले लोगों से मिलता था, but मैंने अपने behavior को justify कर दिया by using a label. I'm an introvert. Bro, 4-5 महीने में introvert था. फिर I got over this, realized this. Funny, my mom helped me do this in one conversation. She said, go to the party, Aryaan. I meet a most beautiful girl. I somehow gathered the balls to ask her out. I wasn't fit or anything back then. I just did it. And that then led me down this journey of going, oh, now I'm an extrovert. Wow, ऐसे labels बदल रहे, biology बदल रही है day to day. It is just a label. It's just a label, and it is still extrovert कह लो, जो भी कह लो, it's still uncomfortable to talk to a stranger.
100%, but you still do it.
But you still do it. Like you do the difficult things in your life. Don't do it thinking कि वो कर रहा है क्योंकि उसके लिए आसान है. Know that मेरे लिए आसान नहीं है. मेरे अंदर हिकअप आता है. मैं भी कई बार हारता हूँ. अभी मैंने अपने बहुत ऑनेस्ट हो रहा हूँ तेरे साथ. I met this beautiful air hostess man. And I was like, I need to ask her out. And bro, I was all like, I made her laugh and everything. And I was like, once the flight lands, I'm going to ask her out on a date. And it's something I do. If I find I like air hostesses tend to be nice, and so I do. And it wasn't easy. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then her friends came. And my ego came in. Suddenly, I'm like, oh, multiple people will see me get rejected. I got lost in that thought pattern and I didn't ask her out. And then I have an accountability buddy, by the way, for this, a mutual, and I texted them, bro, I didn't ask out. He was letting you know. His response was, before you leave the airport, you have to ask somebody out. Doesn't matter. I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Bro, this is such a important discussion to have. I'll tell you how bad I was at this. I do this for a living now, quote unquote talking. 2000, I don't think I've properly shared it anywhere. So 2013 or 14 was the time when I discovered I might want to get into filmmaking. So I had a friend like who had a connect to Mr. Kamal Swaroop, the Om Darbadar जो फिल्म है उसके फिल्म का, तो उसने नंबर दे दिया. He's like कि you'll have to call him and कि you can ask if you want to intern with him. I was that bad at speaking कि I used to do video journalings on my webcam where I'll just try to speak at length in English. Like कि यार मैं 2 sentences 3 sentences बोल पाऊँ. मैंने ये एटलीस्ट 1-1.5 साल किया था कि just coherent English for like a few minutes. I did this in 2012, 2013, maybe 2014 also. एंड मेरे को याद है कि ये सब चलता था तो कमल स्वरूप को मैंने एक बार कॉल किया. तो मैंने कहा सर लाइक मेरे को पता नहीं था हिंदी में बात करनी इंग्लिश में. आई थिंक आई वाज टोल्ड टॉक टू इन इंग्लिश. मैंने कहा फक मेरे को इंग्लिश में बात करनी पड़ेगी. एंड देन आई कॉल्ड हिम. आई सेड सर आई वांट टू इंटर्न ये वो. ओके कॉल मी लेटर, आई वांट टू शूट. द नेक्स्ट टाइम आई कॉल्ड हिम, तो जब उन्होंने कहा था कॉल मी लेटर, कॉल मी ऑन लाइक लेट्स से संडे, आई कॉल्ड हिम अगेन. आई वाज स्पीकिंग कुछ तो हुआ. I forgot what I was speaking and there was this moment where I just blanked out. I was like, oh please call me later, and he cut the call and I'm like okay relax, nothing has happened, chill, just ठीक है. And just sharing an example with you कि ये तब मेरे को आता नहीं था. So वो होता है ना 3 टाइप के लोग होते हैं, जिन्हें आता है, जिनको नहीं आता, और तीसरे जो सीख लेते हैं. I fucking learned this dude. I put in insane amount of hours into just learning how to speak, how to talk, how to understand behavior. Bro, this is 10 years back. I couldn't say 3 sentences in English.
Look at you now. You can't stop recommending bullshit on your Instagram all fucking day long.
Yeah, man. And it's crazy because I remember the first time I asked out a girl in college. It was my festival time. I was just panicking. वो जो कुछ तो मैं जाके बोल रहा होगा. She just like walked away.
Yeah.
And I got so happy I did it. It didn't matter. Her response wasn't important. It was I did my first. I just wanted to say hi to someone.
Yeah.
And
That's high in some language, bro.
That is high in some language. भाई दोथराकी होगी, कुछ तो होगा. मैंने वो करा and I'm like it will just get better from here, dude.
Bro, the happiness, the joy doesn't, the yes or no, the yes is a bonus. It is proving to yourself that you have it in you to do it. It's just, it's so joyful, just the act of doing it.
Now just like 1 up it or 10 up it to me messaging a Manoj Bajpayee 6 months back कि hey can we do this. एंड अब आपको है कि आपको क्यों रिप्लाई करेगा मनोज वाजपेयी, लाइक क्या मतलब हुआ. बट देन ही इज लाइक ओके लेट्स डू दिस. यू लाइक टेक इट टू ऑल द पीपल यू एवर वांटेड टू टॉक टू, लाइक मीट लाइक सेइंग बमन सर कि सर कैन वी डू समथिंग. एंड इट्स लाइक कि भाई आप अंग्रेजी छोड़ो, मेरे को हिंदी बोलनी नहीं आती. नाउ इट्स लाइक ओके लेट्स डू दिस. So now you are just doing it with not just like the girls wala segment, you are just
bro that getting, is absolutely that is just that, you know, sometimes
people misunderstand this. People misunderstand the idea of going and talking to someone.
It's the act of flirting should be innate and ingrained in you to every single human being. What is flirting? Talking lovingly. Do that with everyone, with the shopkeeper, with your friends. Flirt with everybody. It's not a sexual. Flirting is not necessarily a sexual act, which is what people misconstrue it to be. It's just being a playful talker.
Right.
And I think if you're a playful talker, you can do that with anybody, and you can strike up conversations. And there is so much serendipity to be found. You know, there itne logo se aap. And they don't even need to be an actor or somebody established. They could just be you never know what conversation is awaiting you on your, on the aisle seat. You never know who that person is.
100%.
And we miss out on so many of those moments where, we could have just struck up a conversation, gotten to know somebody, but we didn't have we were just scared. We were just apprehensive. Extroversion is a skill. A lot of these virtues are skills that are not innate.
Is a skill, dude.
And people need to approach it like that. Skill के दायरे से सोचो तो आप build कर पाओगे. And मुझे personally लगता है the loneliness that you're talking about, a lot of that is linked with what Chris would talk about in terms of people not talking to each other, or whether that is in the sexual dynamic or just going out and talking to strangers. People are becoming introverted not because biologically they are, because
lack of options.
Because just the current setup of parasocial relationships. देख यार, need to be social to exist करता है, biologically exist and psychologically exist करता है. Our current setup allows that need to be quenched by parasocial relationships with our friends on Instagram, seeing their lives, with podcasters that you listen to, with content that you consume. So then once the need for actual relationships goes away, the need for extroversion goes away, the perceived need for it. So people don't build that skill. Wahi, who was telling you कि people don't, Chris was talking about people don't go ask out people. Yeah. It was a need-based thing. Option nahi tha. You couldn't slide into DMs. Yes. You couldn't BBM your way into an interaction.
Yeah.
If you saw a founder, actor or girl you liked and you wanted to you wanted there to be a relationship, whether it's professional, sexual, personal, whatever, you'd have to have the Gouda to walk and say hi. Right?
Yes.
So that need has now gone away because now you can do that by A, DMing, or B, just talking, just seeing them online. So I think because need कम हो गया है ना, तो लोग ज़्यादा इंट्रोवर्ट से पैदा हो रहे हैं, ज़्यादा लोनलीनेस हो रहा है.
And इसमें मेरे को लगता है another hack to get better at the skill of extroversion is start your own podcast. This is something I think has helped me. Before podcast, it was live streaming where I just live stream. So I used to suck at live streaming, and during COVID, so when everyone would sleep, I would go live on my personal Vaibhav Munjal YouTube channel, which has some 200 subscribers. Okay. 1 or 2 people watching. I'll do game live streaming. I was just practicing. I was just playing along with the form.
Crazy, dude.
And I did it for, I think, 6-7 months. Then I'm like, okay, I'm now ready to do live streams with like few
when
people.
When people are awake.
Yeah, when people are awake. I can do it in daytime now. Now let's get famous people into it. Now let's like up the game. Now let's like increase the challenge level. Now फिर अब आप चैलेंज लेवल बढ़ाते जाते हो. जैसे अभी मैंने सौरभ द्विवेदी के साथ एपिसोड किया ललन डाउ. आई वाज शिट स्केयर्ड फॉर इट, बट इट्स लाइक अब चैलेंज लेवल बढ़ा दिया, अब मजा आएगा. आई वाज जस्ट टेलिंग हिंडॉल दिस कि ही जस्ट डिड द एपिसोड विद चैतन्य तमाने. मैंने कहा गो एंड चेरिश दिस डूड, यू डिड समथिंग सो, इट टुक अस 4 years to close him, 4 years. Like just enjoy this because it will just get easier from here. कि भाई तूने ये कर लिया ना, अब तू कुछ भी कर सकता है, अब तू करके देखना. So you start a podcast, you will have to reach out to people, and then you will have to prepare, and you will sometimes, just I don't prepare for a lot of my podcasts. It's I think a ADHD thing. I was reading about it. Sometimes you know exactly what to say even with zero preparation. It's a very, I think, ADHD thing, and you'll still like hit a home run. Something I don't recommend to people because I don't do massive research for my podcasts. But this is an unpopular opinion. Don't recommend it to people at home, but I can just do it like that.
Can you offer the viewers of this a book or resource that helped you learn extroversion or talking?
How to Talk to Anyone is a book.
Okay.
There's a book like called How to Talk to Anyone. And there are some other books.
Can I ask?
I'll ask.
शक्ल पे लिखा था.
We just know the tribe.
Yeah.
वो पता होता है.
मैं वही you know, I've had this happen before where वही outlive भी पढ़ी है, ये भी पढ़ा है.
I don't speak openly about this book though. I don't want to.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't want to. It's like my choice. I don't want to talk openly about it. But like it immensely.
But I wish more people came across this without I think it would do well for many people.
It would change lives.
It would change lives.
I
recommended it to women for what it's worth, and it's had a positive impact on them.
Another thing Aryaan, that really impresses me about you is your relationship with fitness and health, and I think I really look up to you in regard to that. तुमने अभी एक कुछ तो story डाली थी which made me want to mute you because of the way you were skipping in it, and I'm like, is he for real? Can people skip like that? Bro, क्या था? मतलब ऐसे कोई ओलंपिक का कोई बंदा कर रहा है, like what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
So, like enlighten us, dude. Like, what made you take health so seriously, and how has it helped you as a founder and as a human?
Oh wow, the good question. Good questions. Okay, where should I take it from? Jump rope का मुझे बाद में पूछे बता दूंगा कि jump rope is not necessarily how it began. Although jump rope and Desi Crime is what I started.
Okay, so skipping नहीं होता, वो jump rope होता है.
हाँ, sorry, jump rope कहते हैं.
Okay.
Skipping, jump rope मतलब हम लोग community में jump rope बोलते हैं. हाँ, anyway, I started that and Desi Crime during COVID. Those were the two things that came out of COVID that have changed my life, of course, fundamentally. Fitness, bro, I've always been the big kid, right? Always.
हाँ, अभी तुमने फोटो डाली थी एक.
हाँ, bro, I saw that. Fucking Vinamra sent me that picture. Insane. Anywho, so I've always been the bigger kid and lost weight in the middle here or there. But when I went to America and I had endless supplies of Domino's delivering pepperoni medium. Unka medium, by the way, is our large. Every night 2 a.m. I blew up to 100 kgs के आसपास. ठीक है? I was a big chonky. Okay. And I also I mean, I have slow metabolism. I can gain muscle easily, but fat easily also. So all of that. My biology is also one of like a bulkier guy. I had become this fat dude. ठीक है? And 2021 में I spent quite a few months in Africa. So I was doing a study on Ebola and COVID in Sierra Leone, which is the country in Western Africa. Blood Diamond वाली movie उस पे बनी है. मैं वहाँ 1 महीने के लिए रहा था उस country में, 1-2 महीने के लिए, और hospital में रहा था. I was as big as I was, and तभी मेरा breakup भी हो गया. ठीक है, तो इतनी लंबी relationship का breakup, मैं अफ्रीका में हूँ.
कितने टाइम था चला था ये रिलेशनशिप?
Almost 5 years.
Got it.
And so now breakup is one thing, but I'm also I'm in Africa, so I need to fucking figure this shit out, right? And my biggest problem that led to my weight being the way it was my relationship with food. It's something I've realized later now that I look back and I've read more. It wasn't that I couldn't exercise. I used to still exercise, and I've been a very athletic guy. Like sports come very naturally to me. My hand-eye coordination, whatever it is. तो मुझे कल एक sport देगा ना, मैं उसमें average बन जाऊँगा. मैं किसी भी sport में average बहुत easily बन जाता हूँ. Naturally आता है मुझे. So it wasn't the lack of exercise or movement. It was my diet, my relationship with food, eating out of anxiety, eating out of boredom, eating out of whatever. Eating was the solution. Eating is one of those proclivities one can have. जिस एडिक्शन का आउटकम सबको देखने के लिए होता है. People who are addicted to masturbation or alcohol or drugs, it's not visible.
Fuck, 1 second. Let me process this. I've never thought of it like this.
So there's a pro and a con. Pro is that you'll always be made aware of your proclivity. The con is you'll always be made aware of your proclivity. So that's the downside of it. And so it was relationship with food. Now, आप कितना भी exercise कर लो, अपना relationship with food emotional और mental level पे exercise से नहीं बदल सकते हो. Something ontologically shifting needs to happen. So fundamental. And I know the exact moment when it happened. I was in Djibouti. एक country है जो सबने सुना है. कोई जानता नहीं है जिबूटी क्या है. सबने सुना है क्योंकि नाम में बूटी आता है. ठीक है, मैं यहाँ कुछ महीने रहा था. एक फ्रेंच वेट के अंडर काम कर रहा था उसी अफ्रीका ट्रिप पे. ये ईस्टर्न अफ्रीका में एक नेशन है. इट इज़ अ बैरन फकिंग कंट्री. ओके, इट ओनली रन्स ऑन मिलिट्री मनी ऑफ ऑल द अदर कंट्रीज दैट हैव मिलिट्री बेसिस देयर. चाइना एंड यूएस का मिलिट्री बेस साइड बाय साइड है. ये ऐसा देश है क्योंकि सोमालिया का ओनली एक्सेस पॉइंट है. एनीवे, बैरन, ब्रोकन, not a useless country, but a very weird, poor country. We took a bus to the outskirts of this poor country. So I'm telling you, the capital is poor. Nothing. Imagine outskirts क्या है, right? हमने बस ली क्योंकि हम असामो करके एक जगह जा रहे थे जहाँ हमें कुछ वाइल्ड लाइफ का कुछ करना था. So on the way to that, this bus stopped in this chota sa town on the outskirts of a poor country. Now I'm thinking oh my god, wow, I'm experiencing poverty, I'm experiencing nothingness. ऐसा होता है जब कुछ नहीं होता है. वो thoughts जो आते हैं ना जब आप virtue experience कर रहे होते हो कि वाओ मैंने कितनी cool चीज़ experience करी. अच्छा, हमें लगी है भूख. मेरे साथ हैं 4 फ्रेंची जो सिर्फ फ्रेंच बोलते हैं. तो I was the only one who could talk in English to this Somali guy, and I said, we need to eat somewhere. Is there any place? There's no soup. Of course, there's no soup. There's nothing. He points to this छज्जा, ठीक है, टारपोलिन का. He said, ये यहाँ का only restaurant है. ये restaurant नहीं था, ठीक है. ये मतलब सिगरेट दुकान जितना बड़ा, वो थोड़ा बड़ा और. एंड यहाँ एक आंटी बैठ के भगोने में खाना था. एशियन पेंट के डब्बे टेबल थी, वो जो एक राउंड डब्बे होते हैं. तो हम ज़मीन पे बैठे, उनने सर्व किया. हाँ, आई थिंक it was 20 cents for 4 servings for everybody, and the food was excellent. Excellent. I was like, wow, itni poverty, and I'm eating it. It's a chicken rice dish. Vaibhav, मैं खाते खाते सोच रहा हूँ, today I have just experienced what absolute poverty is like, and this thought is running in my head. Like, I come from India, I've seen poverty, but this is abject poverty. This is brevity, जिसे कहते हैं. I finish my meal and I'm thinking these thoughts. A man runs into the shack. He steals the chicken bones kept on our plate and runs out. And I'm sitting there, mouth wide open, going, what the fuck just happened? I had cleaned those bones, like I'd eaten chicken. He took sabka bones. We went out. And we saw that he was eating the bones we had left over. And I was like, oh, there is another rung of poverty below what I just experienced. Fuck. It's turtles all the way down. And I'm sure there is a rung below that. And in that moment, my relationship with food changed. I was like, eat out of necessity, bro. Eat when you're hungry. People can survive on much less. और भी चीज़ें हुई थी उस ट्रिप पे. मैं बहुत अनफिट था. तो हम जब ट्रैक करके ऊपर जा रहे थे, सारे फ्रेंची आगे थे, मैं पीछे था, मेरे वजह से सब रुक रहे थे. So I also realized there were downsides of being unfit. But this just fundamentally shifted. After that trip, it just became a very positive journey towards health, but fundamentally treating food not as pleasure but as fuel. So yeah.
उसके बाद like how much time did it take for you to get into this shape? Like, was it years? Was it months?
I would say overall to be in a shape that I'd be proud of, because the fat kid never dies, you know. It's always there, I guess.
मतलब?
I think अगर आप एक मोटे बच्चे होते हो, most fat kids would relate that there is a dysmorphic, insecure child in you that doesn't go away even if you have abs. Like, crazy. It'll always be there. I think you can sequester it, but you can't eliminate it completely. And it can also be...
But what does that insecure fat inner child do? That
fat insecure inner child leads to mannerisms like this all the time. That's an innate response. This जो होता है, I don't have it anymore, but I'm just telling you क्या क्या हो सकता है. Even when you're fit, you just have this tendency of this. Not wearing jeans. This is the first time, like, I've not worn jeans for 4 years. Last week I wore them. I'm like, oh, I'm comfortable, because jeans made me very uncomfortable. Things like looking in the mirror and going, oh, I'm still fat. I don't have that anymore. But even when I was like, I'd say a year back when I'd be fit, I would still look in the mirror and go, oh, you're still fucking fat. And objectively I wasn't. But you can't unsee it because you have an insecurity. So that's the fat kid inside you. That's what that would be. But yeah, I would say it pura cycle 1 year last kiya hoga, losing 30 kgs or something. But But then it became more like, then once you're on that
Then
journey,
it becomes a drug in itself.
yeah, and also then it's not about weight. Once you realize,
It's a mindset shift.
yeah, it's about and what is fat, what is muscle. Like weight is a proxy for health, but like BMI is a proxy. But it's, you know, Dwayne Johnson ka BMI must be horrible. Dwayne Johnson isn't unfit. He's just a muscle guy. So then you start focusing on the right things. Well, now what the metric you prioritize, like you were saying at the beginning of this conversation. Then you then you prioritize, okay, what's my body fat composition? What's the quality of the protein I mean? Metrics become different.
Do you meditate?
Honest answer, I've stopped ever since I started the company.
Fuck.
Yeah, and I want to go back to it so bad.
Let's become each other's accountability.
Bro, अगर meditation के लिए हो जाए, so मैं बहुत meditate करता था. Like a lot of the problems I was solved because I really love meditation. I know what I Sam Harris, Waking Up helped me through a lot. It's just, bro, like the mind is so occupied nowadays. You're just constantly, yeah, I need to calm the brain down a little, but yeah.
I was just telling a friend of mine, like this line about ADHD. It's like your mind is like an F1 car with brakes of a bicycle.
Mine is not that. I wouldn't claim to have ADHD, but it's just, I think everybody should meditate. But what about you? What's your fitness journey? What's your relationship? Because you've also read Atiya's Outlive. I actually haven't finished the book, read 3/4 of it. But what's your relationship with fitness? Why?
How fit do you think I am? Like when you look at me, like.
Really depends on
what the metric is.
What the metric is, yeah.
No, but like when you look at me, like.
I would say you are skinny Indian fat.
Skinny Indian fat, bro. Let me write this.
Yeah.
This is. What does that mean?
Skinny Indian fat is a particular kind of anatomy that many Indian men are predisposed to, which is that you'll have a lean structure. Okay? So you're not an American obese, like those that you can glaringly see. You have a lean structure, but you have weight around your abdominal region. Okay? The abdominal fat, which has a lot to do with how much organ fat you technically have. This is the worst kind of fat to have that Indians have. ठीक है, worst, because ये आपके organs के around है. क्या होता है, imagine कर ना, मैंने बस biology undergrad में ली थी ना, degree complete करी है, so don't treat me as any, I just enjoy this, I'm not a expert in any way. But the problem with organ fat, okay, so muscle fat is not that bad, honestly. Muscle में जो fat होता है, ठीक है, तो जब आपके यहाँ fat होता है, it's not that bad because that's a good place to store excess energy. Of course, you'd be better off without it, but it's a good place to store excess energy. Once you start overflowing your muscular fat deposits, fat को कहीं तो store होना है, तो वो आपके organs के around store होता है. The difference between a white man, most white people's body, their ability to store muscle fat is much higher than the Indian body. So that's why हम लोग उनकी तरह मोटे नहीं होते. अगर उनकी तरह खाएंगे भी तो उनकी तरह मोटे नहीं होंगे, क्योंकि हमारा फैट सिर्फ मसल में नहीं, फिर अंदर डिपॉजिट शुरू हो जाता है. So there is studies show that people with the undernourished or poorly nourished thin people who have skinny fat are more likely to get diabetes than obese people. Both are more likely to get diabetes than a healthy person. But a thin person with more visceral fat has higher chance of. That's because organs के around fat deposit हो रहा है. जब organs के around fat deposit होता है, the nutrition that the organ was supposed to take, the adipocyte, the fat cell, it starts taking it, and so your organ then starts underperforming. And this happens most around the liver. The liver के around सबसे ज़्यादा. So if you see an unhealthy person's liver,
I have a fatty liver, by the way.
Yeah. There you go. That's abdominal. So fatty liver, and not by alcohol, because I don't think you're not. So it's purely by carbs and sugar.
It's purely by carbs
now,
and
sugar. If your diet was that of was as it has been, and same as your workout go, the chances if you were a white person that you would have a fatty liver would be lesser. You'd actually be bigger. You'd be a fatter looking guy.
Ooh.
Because your body could store more fat in its muscles. हमारा इंडियन शरीर उतना फैट स्टोर ही नहीं कर पाता मसल में, तो वो अंदर करने लगता है। तभी इंडिया में डायबिटीज इतना क्रेजी है। वो लिवर वाला फैट हटा ब्रो, आई एम टेलिंग, एक तो हटाया जा सकता है, सो रिवर्सिबल, सो इजीली, वेरी रिवर्सिबल। लिवर इज अ वेरी अमेजिंग ऑर्गन दैट कैन सेल्फ रीजेनरेट, दैट फैट कैन कंप्लीटली गो अवे, इट कैन कंप्लीट, लाइक स्मोकिंग से जो लंग्स को होता है वो इरिवर्सिबल होता है, ठीक है। शुगर से, शुगर, अल्कोहल इज ऑल्सो शुगर बाय द वे, दैट इज वाई फैटी लिवर अल्कोहल से भी होता है, ठीक है। सो दे वर वेरी शॉक्ड व्हेन दे सॉ दैट हेल्दी पीपल हैड फैटी लिवर। ये तो आउटलुक, बट ये बहुत पुरानी नॉलेज है ब्रो। लाइक अब मैं सच बता रहा हूँ, you can fix this and you should fix this.
Yeah, no, that's why when you asked me what's my relationship, so I think safe to say like I'm not as fit as I would want to be. तो मैं मेरी इसमें कोई जर्नी अभी शेयर नहीं करना चाहता। बाकी चीज़ों में मैं कर रहा हूँ, इसमें कि पहले abdominal fat हटाते हैं फिर अरियान के आंसर देगा। अभी like it's given me also a target, no।
मैं हटा दे, मैं तू हटा भी लेगा यार, तू जितनी शिद्दत से तू करता है चीजें, तू आराम से हटा लेगा।
But वो I have a thing for।
Come for a swim and workout tomorrow, whenever you find time.
Yeah, let's do it. But I really like sugar. ये एक थोड़ा
There are tips and tricks bro, like मुझे शुगर से उतना नहीं था, मुझे फैटी मीट से था, मुझे वो क्रेविंग होती है, अगर होती थी जब so pizzas, oh my god I love that, but जब शुगर की होती थी तो मैं frozen blueberries खाता था।
I think your cheat days would also be not cheat days now.
No,
this is what I'm talking about.
No, my cheat days are, I allow myself, my thing is once a week I can cheat, but my cheat day is not the amount I eat, it is चलो आज मैं रेस्टोरेंट, आज मतलब मैं it's not even, it's maybe my bread.
It's very boring.
Yeah, it's very boring.
That's what I
because I like eating chicken and broccoli. I'm not, see, you need to change your fuel. You can't hate chicken and broccoli. You need to love chicken and broccoli. It cannot, not everything can be willpower. Shit, that's you will burn out. If everything is willpower, say, you'll burn out. कुछ चीजें willpower से करो.
One thing I am proud of is I have had the same breakfast for 2 years now.
Which is?
Okay, ये भी important है। Yeah, I just wanted to, so 2 boiled eggs, cheese bread and poha.
ठीक है।
I have had this same breakfast for 2 years.
Lovely, good.
And a coffee, morning coffee with like sugar in it.
उसको शुगर कम कर ले। अभी भी हमने ब्लू टोकाई की इतनी अच्छी फ्लैट वाइट पी, तूने कैपुचिनो पी, बट उसने you defiled the coffee by adding sugar to it. I saw it happen. I'm like, oh, don't do it. But alas, a man can only do so much.
हाँ तो
What are your goals? What is the timeline you've given yourself, Vaibhav?
For?
Getting rid of the abdominal fat, perhaps.
I'm glad like you're holding me accountable. क्या तारीख है? 7 अक्टूबर। मैकफील्ड्स कब है? 7 दिसंबर। मैकफील्ड में तुम्हारा भाई बिना शर्ट के नाचेगा।
Oh God.
I think 2 months is a good enough timeline.
Yes, for reasonable goals, yeah.
Because I'm not fat.
No, you're not. Wait. So for reasonable goals, huh?
And I'll tell you something you'll like. You know my daily step count, like average to a year.
Yeah.
11,000 steps.
How? Where do you walk?
When I get calls, I start walking. I have hyperactivity thing. I just keep walking a lot. I just walk.
That's awesome.
I just walk 11,000 steps. Like lately, it's been 14,000 steps a day, 15,000 steps a day.
There is this forgetting his name, researcher bodybuilder who talks about weight loss through. There are people who fidget a lot.
I am that person.
They burn so many calories through the day that cannot be accounted for,
but
just by movement. So people don't realize there are other ways of like burning energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, people who imagine shaking your leg for an hour. That's a lot of calories burned passively.
Fuck.
That's a lot of
Where can I read about this? Fidgeting and calorie burn?
Lane Norton, yes, there you go. Lane Norton on the, I think it was on Attiya's The Drive. Yeah, Lane Norton with Peter Attiya. But I think if you Google Lane Norton fidgeting, there's a term for weight loss induced by passive activity. That's fidgeting is one component of that. Walking when talking is one component of that.
Is it?
Yeah. Involuntary acts that lead to high burn rate of calories.
Yeah, so, and that, I think like schedules, routines really, really sort you, dude. For the last 3 years, I've been waking up at 6 a.m. every day. I sleep by 10 p.m.
Diligently.
Bombay आता हूँ तो the cycle shifts from 12 p.m. to 8
हाँ
8
ठीक है मेरा वही है हाँ.
But otherwise I sleep by 10.
That's awesome.
And उठते ही lawn tennis.
Proper
lawn tennis for last few years.
No woman in your life who doesn't let you sleep?
Moving on. Nahi yaar. Game, like not that lucky, man. Like so that's it. Like, is there anything you would want to talk about? Like, hey, Vaibhav, let's talk about this. That like I might not have.
In all the awesome people that you have gotten the chance to interview, right, and bunch that you have, not just on the recent sort of seasons that you've done, but you've been doing it for a while. And awesome not just in terms of fame, but in terms of prestige also. They're awesome in their little niches. What's a common denominator that you've found? One common denominator.
Lovely question.
One common denominator that you appreciated of those people, and one common denominator between the people in that milieu that you did not like. So, of course, don't name anyone. I just want to know traits and virtues.
Such a good question. A common denominator in the people I didn't like, and the common denominator among the people I liked. Yeah, I think very energetically driven answer hoga mera ye. The way you and I connected.
Sure.
I think it's a very energetically driven process, like the way attract. So
but elaborate it a little more.
Sorry?
Break down the energetics.
So basically, one of the books I've made the most fun of, I don't shit talk about things on any of my properties, but one of the books I've made some fun of on my channel is of The Secret. Now, because I think the problem with Secret is it's not just manifestation. I believe in manifestation, serendipity. I believe in serendipity. But I also think there is a layer which precedes manifestation, which is showing up.
Action.
And people don't talk about it. So I think the things which are happening in my life, I've seen where you were also there at the Kamat's party, na?
Yes.
At that day. So I wanted to be there and I ended up there. अभी ये कुछ दिन पहले हुआ था.
Why didn't I meet you?
I don't know. I was there. So I know कि okay, why did this happen? कि ये directly तो हुआ नहीं. I just got a call and they're like, please come. And ये क्यों हुआ? So मेरे को लगा यार ये तो manifestation है. This is so I wanted to be there. But उसके लिए did I do anything? Fuck yes, I did things for that to happen. तो मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि energetically ना, I have met too many people in Mumbai and in my life where even before sharing a word with them I knew इसके साथ मेरी जमेगी. एक या तो parasocial आपने relationship देखा हो. जैसे I genuinely think I'm not ऐसे being वो about it. I think I'll really get along with Samantha Ruth-Prabhu. I just think the things she thinks about, the journey she has been on, I know ki the way I will bond with her or at least give a podcast to the world, normal people won't be able to do it. So I've made friends like that. Dhruv Sehgal is one of those friends. Even before having spoken to him, I knew he and I will be good friends. So मैंने एक चीज देखी है, people who are energetically attuned to themselves, even if they are not at peace, but they are aware that they are not at peace, which helps them bring out the authentic self. I think I really vibe with those people and I attract those people and they attract me, and the level of such people and let's say the kind of, if success is the metric, वो better ही हो रहा है कि the kind of people and the I'm attracting in my life. So the one word answer is authenticity.
Yeah.
but like there are layers to that
Yeah.
authenticity.
You can't be an authentic jerk.
Yeah, you can't be an authentic jerk कि ठीक है मैं तो लिब रहा हूँ मैं तो murder करता हूँ. You can't be like that person. And I have a thing for people who are obsessed with self growth. जैसे तुम one of the things like you just gave me a task. तोंद कब कम कर रहे हैं? Like as simple as that. I am like this is such a actionable thing to do. I would love to do it. Now we are recording a podcast where I'm like, यार ये तो अब करना पड़ेगा. So this is how you do accountability. This ऐसे आप लोग attract करते हो. And this is how I found people. And there are multiple people like that. मोटा मैं ये बोलूँगा कि 70% of the guests I have had on the channel is just like that. Be it Gulshan Devaiya. And like because I have never quote unquote networked, I have just made friends on Chalchitra. And I have had this philosophy that I won't use Chalchitra पे clickbaity thumbnails or things which can hurt my guests. I don't think audience first. I think
aesthetics clickbaity हैं इसके, but content substantively कभी नहीं होता.
So I don't think audience first. I think the person who is coming first, which results in you not having 1 million subscribers.
Because of course not having 1 million subs has nothing to do with you being able to improve your hosting skills. It has everything to do with the lack of clickbaity titles.
Yes, 100%.
It's a mix, bro, I'm sure.
No.
It's just titles, just clickbaity titles.
No, it's also like the way you kind of put things out. तो मेरे को ऐसा ही लगता है कि हमारी जो growth भी अभी वो ऐसी ही रहेगी. हम फटेंगे नहीं. It won't be a day where you'll be like
फटे तो हो, but मतलब you mean more like
it will never be like whoop. ऐसे it will be very slow because there are only few people who resonate with such stuff, right? Like जैसे who was telling me Beer Biceps के podcast पे नवल रविकांत आया, वो इतना नहीं चला जितने उसके episodes चलते हैं, because Beer Biceps की वो audience ही नहीं है जो नवल रविकांत को सुनती है.
But bro, kudos, bro.
Yeah, man.
Getting Naval. I mean, so many of us have.
So many of us, and he did it.
Cool. And Shout out to Prakhar from Prakhar Ke Pravachan for getting Eric Weinstein on.
Oh wow!
I'm blown. I'm like, these two are crazy.
So this is what it is, dude. Like you just like keep at it, और मेरे को लगता है.
Tell me the second half. Common denominator in the guests you've had that you didn't like. Was there a common denominator? Was there something about them that irked you? Don't name people, so that's why you're protected by that.
I want to name people to you, but
name later. Tell me common denominator.
Because I'm having fun with you. Like किसी बात के लिए बोलते कि नहीं रखना. This is our podcast, dude. Like we don't keep this. I really want to have this conversation with you. I don't know. So there are some people I don't vibe with. So I think I might call my autobiography small dick competition, because I think it's sometimes you need to have the smallest dick in the room. You don't need to have the biggest dick in the room. So some people have that. I might have had some instances where I felt he had that.
But what is that? What is that? Sorry, I'm unaware of. I have a very big dick, so I don't know what the small dick competition is.
It's like someone trying to show कि
one up you.
I'm the alpha.
Okay.
I am like, please be the alpha. हम तो कहाँ यार, हम तो मतलब हम थोड़ी alpha हैं. So कभी-कभी people have that. People who are not alphas but they try to have an alpha energy. Those people give me an ick. And it happens with people. People fall in love with their own height. People fall in love with.
Do you know the story of Narcissus? Please tell me you do. Narcissus. Where does the word narcissism come from?
No.
So I am obsessed with etymology, okay? And I think from our last conversation, I'm obsessed with Greek legends. Shout out Stephen Fry, mythos, go on. That's a great entry point. But the word narcissist comes from the Greek character Narcissus. Narcissus was given the blessing of being the most beautiful man. I think he won either Athena or somebody's blessings, but he was born as a beautiful, beautiful man. Every woman was attracted to him. Like they loved him, and he used to, reciprocate that. He used to have fun. He was a beautiful boy, until Narcissus saw his reflection in the pond, and from that day on, Narcissus fell in love with himself. And Narcissus then he was not interested in any of the love shown by anybody else. It was so self-consumed and obsessed about how beautiful he is. He literally fell in love with himself to the point that one day he tried to kiss his own reflection in the pond because he could only love that. And in doing that, he drowned and died. And that's the metaphor, that you die if you fall in love with yourself, right? That's where the word narcissism comes from. It's the act of such a toxic self-love that you die in it.
This is beautiful. So since I don't have a good height or a good voice, so I have had to earn people's attention.
Yeah.
And it comes with a lot of training कि आपको कुछ चीजें करनी पड़ती है. So I never took it for granted. So मैंने थोड़ा घिस के सीखा, just इतनी podcasting कर लेते हो ना, you get the cues. I keep training my team like this. Bro, he had given the hint, don't do it. So that they can also it's so interesting na, the social cues of peers. Yeah. I don't know what the question was, but I'm just telling you.
I don't know.
It's just fun, the way I had to earn it, and since I don't have the physique or the height or anything like that.
I'll just say, so I understand a little. I'm not 5'5", but I'm 5'8" or 5'9" or whatever it is, and losing weight and looking the way I am is a new thing, right? I've not always looked like this. So I'd also had to earn the respect or whatever usually through how I talked. It was how मेरे बोलने के ढंग से, स्टोरी सुनाने के ढंग से, कॉन्वर्सेशन से, I used to earn respect, the sort of social dynamic वाला वो status in a social dynamic. Now, of course, you can add, of course, the work, the accomplishment in that regard, but you can also add look decent looking fella. It's something you can change though. And I think not only the external validation that comes from it, just the self-confidence that comes from it is also something that will contribute to the overall work.
100.
Because it did for me. Log kehte hain, people don't care girls don't care what your body is. Of course they do. You'll see the difference when you get that body. You'll be like, oh my god, this is 20x the fucks given
and
about you.
It changes your relationship with yourself. For the first time in my life, I had a expensive haircut. Abhi kuch time pehle wo Vase Abhi kya naam hai? Wakim Alim, whatever that
no idea.
जो यहाँ पे चेन है, Vase Abhi बुला दिया मैंने उन्हें. Vase Abhi बाद some cricket YouTubers.
Whatever.
And for the first time in my life, someone treated my hair as art.
Wow.
And they didn't make fun of my hair because I would get very conscious because I have this condition called as psoriasis. My whole family has it, white, aise, you have those dandruff kind of
dryness.
He saw it, he talked to me and अरे आपके तो सही है, आपके तो वो भी, मैंने बोला नहीं मेरे को sorry. कहाँ है, कम ही तो है, you just have sensitive scalp. And then he did this, he did that, and I'm like, bro. And the way I looked after that, I'm like, it just changed the relationship.
Wow.
So one haircut, it took one haircut for me to look at myself differently. It's crazy.
That's so good.
It just changes things, dude. It's you have to इसलिए वो hitting the gym and whatever. जैसे अभी मैं खुद को शीशे में देखता हूँ, oh fuck, मेरा मुंह मोटा नहीं है. It's just a different kind of a high. And I'm not posting any selfies or anything anywhere. It's just you look at it, it's like.
वो तो OnlyFans पे डालता है ना तो इसको. I love that. That's the membership I love.
Yeah.
Before we end, one question. Why are you what's driving you nowadays? Because the prestige is something you've gotten rid of. What are you what's that anchor in the future? Sure, you're process oriented and but of course you're working towards something big, right? Whether it be Chalchitra or whatever it is within Chalchitra, outside Chalchitra, what's the driving fuel nowadays?
I'm loving the fact that this is growing because now abhi momentum ban chuka hai. And I have worked hard on building this momentum. So उसके आपको returns दिख रहे हैं. In the initial years करते रहते थे, nobody gave a fuck. So अभी वो थोड़े returns दिख रहे हैं. उसकी वजह से there is more money coming in, better structures for people. Like the people I work with, I want to give them a certain lifestyle.
Yeah.
भाई ये करेंगे. This is the kind of life we live. I'm doing it for I had an expensive haircut for the first time in my life. So अभी वो पोस्ट इकोनॉमिक होने में टाइम बचता है. तो जब तक पोस्ट इकोनॉमिक नहीं होते, आई विल कीप वर्किंग टुवर्ड्स इट एंड इट इज़ अ लॉन्ग गेम. पोस्ट इकोनॉमिक होने के बाद आप ये पूछोगे तो अभी लाइक माई लाइक गोल इज टू बिकम पोस्ट इकोनॉमिक. And then
what's that number? What's the post economic number?
I don't have a number for that. It's just like I do things and I don't think about it. आप कभी कहीं
burn rate is lower than
I don't know. मैं इतना तो सोच ही नहीं रहा. मेरे को ये है कि अगर मेरे को मालदीव्स में बैठे रहना हो या कहीं बैठे रहना हो, आप वो कर पाओ. अगर जैसे I am going for Sigur Rós in Feb.
What is that?
It's an Icelandic band, like one of my favorite.
Where
bands.
are you? Where is it?
Singapore. So I might be going for that. So ये सारी चीज़ें करनी है मेरे को कि if I want to have an experience and I don't think about the money and the main people that who work with me, because I have always had a thing for people who took a bet on me when we were nothing कि भाई मेरे को इनकी लाइफ बनानी है. That's one kick. कि यार ये लोग तब साथ में थे जब चाचा चाची मामा मामी टीचर ताई किसी ने इज्जत नहीं दी. इनके साथ इनको तो करना है
100%.
That's a good enough.
I'm glad you've kept your team lean.
Dude, it's
that's my big thing. I'll keep a lean team.
Lean team, like उनको आप ज़्यादा पैसे दो, उनको ज़्यादा टास्क दो, and
और खुद को भी वो ना over वो नहीं क्या कहते हैं, don't want to be thin, spread thin, you know, because there's a tendency. It's very easy to overhire in India and take on too many projects just because थोड़ा money आ सकता है इधर-उधर से.
No.
But it's not worth it. You end up becoming a manager then at some point instead of being a creative.
So one thing I've written on my mood board is create first, entrepreneur second.
Yeah.
That's something which always helps. And I wanted to share a quote with you. It's by my brother, like he had written it on his blog. Companies fail when they fall in love with their own products. And this is something this is something which is which has
where have you sensed this which product did you feel that you might have been falling in love with and then you
no like just the idea of Chalchitra Talks like एक वो virtue बन जाता है कि देखो कितना clean है मेरा channel कि अच्छे लोग आते हैं वगैरह. Bro ठीक है, like you're just a 270,000 follower वाला like channel. Let's get real. Let's just, you have to do things abhi. So don't like romanticize like the basic salaries me and my team पे. इसको मत romanticize करो कि देखो क्या तो उस गेम में नहीं है. अभी बहुत कमाना है, अभी बहुत चीजें करनी है.
Yes brother.
Yeah.
Big things need to be done. Cool things also need to be done.
Cool things need to be done and dude it's so lovely Aryaan, like we connected. I think अब मजा आता रहेगा. I think like we'll be hanging out quite a lot. मेरे को पूछने की जरूरत नहीं है. I just know it.
with no cameras and a drink in our hand. So that all the cut bits of this.
This is a 17-minute podcast, but with 2 hours like edited footage. But if you become a Desi Crime patron, you will
still not get this footage.
They are yet to optimize on like the bonus video part.
You just get early access to this episode.
Yeah, any plugs you want to do before we end this?
And I mean, check out the Desi Crime Pod, but honestly, I had a fucking great time talking to you. Great time talking to you.
Like, and thank you so much for watching, guys. Like, a lot more interesting stuff coming on this channel. We'll see you soon. Bye.